Boston. They may have done it. Great pick for San Francisco. Making his presence felt in a big way here. San Francisco Shock, can they do it? Striker really coming through from his team in the end. Looks like they have done just that in Boston. Got some kills. San Francisco, what a start. Big hype about a lot of people on this team. Baby Bay has been so accurate with those shots too. That is a quick win.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. We are live here on the desk for the third match of the day, the last match of the week, and we still have the fans with us here because, of course, it's SoCal versus NorCal, but it's still the San Francisco Shock who are going to be playing here versus the Boston Uprising. And so joining me at the desk, I'm your host, Semler. Joining me at the desk, Crumbs, Bryn, and our rebel with the cause, Zoe.
Thanks.
So, what are we going to get into to start things off here when it gets into this match?
Well, honestly, I'm so split on this one.
It's close, right, between these two teams.
It actually is.
Yeah.
But the problem with this league is if you just look at results, you just look at the scoreboards, they don't really give away how close some of the matches have been. Like,
I've heard this before.
Yeah, it's a reoccurring kind of thing happening.
Stats.
Right?
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, you gotta be
Stats,
very
context.
careful. Yeah, but I feel like this last one is actually going to be a big one. I do think that both of the teams have a high skill ceiling. I do want to see the Shock go off. I really felt like they improved a lot again this week. The last match they played was really, really close against the Fusion. They did lose it, but they made it very competitive.
Yeah, all around, I'm excited for this game in particular, mainly to look at Boston, to be honest, because this is a team I was following. Yeah, okay.
All right. Let's go, Neko Suave. Neko Suave.
Neko, we've got a fan in the crowd. But no, I'm looking forward to it because even in their game against Seoul, right, they were looking much better. In terms, they could have adapted a bit faster in the actual games themselves. But Boston as a team is one that a lot of people before this league even began, they were shutting them down just mainly because of the plays they picked up. But, the president of Gaming, Huck, he said, no, these guys, they're coachable players. You know?
I tend to think that it's because of Huck that they were getting all that far. But, hey, no, but Huck, he's pulled through.
Yeah, and he's picked up these players. They are coachable, and they have been turning up. A few notable names: Striker, Dreamcasper, this dynamic duo of DPS players. These guys have been turning up in the games. Yeah,
Gamzu,
as well.
big factor last
He's been
game,
fantastic. So I'm looking forward to see how this team is progressing, and this next match is going to be an interesting one in terms of how much have they learned from that Seoul game. This is your time to speak.
This is your time to speak.
Yes. Well, to me, when I think of the Boston Uprising, it reminds me of the Breakfast Club. I just want to call this team the Breakfast Club. Right? It's a group of players that you would just never have expected to be together, that their idea is that under the right coaching, the sum of the individuals is lesser than the sum of the team. I think
I think you nailed it actually. Credit where credit's due. When I did talk to Huck about those players, he did say that one of the things all the players there always keep in mind, and he as a coach as well, is that they are skilled individuals. However, prior to joining this team, and none of them actually experienced big success in their team. Now they're coming together as a team. And finally, they're going off. Like, they give each other that space. They enable each other to really shine on the stage. And I do think he's right with that.
Well, there we have it. Guys, it is time to go ahead and take a look at the schedule real quick, just to remind you all who is going to be playing now. Coming up next, it will be the Boston Uprising versus the San Francisco Shock. And I think we're ready to bring a team out onto this stage. And so, first team out will be the Boston Uprising.
This is a team, right, that I've been looking at closely, like I said before, progressively getting better and better and better. And one of the players in particular that I would like to point out is probably going to be Neko, right? Because he, in my eyes, actually is a contender for one of the best Senyatas in this league in terms of the amount he gets done. Now, that's a big claim. But this is coming from the guy who throws out MVP awards like they're nothing, okay?
I got you, Crumbs. I got you. Yeah, man, you're good.
Crumbs is ready to fight me. But no, for real, though, Neko, I got to say, I've been impressed with his gameplay. I think he's one of the strongest points on this team of Boston Uprising that might get overlooked.
Listen, I think the one that's not getting overlooked, that's getting a lot of love and should get more, is Dreamcasper. This guy coming out of nowhere and just making so many plays, being regarded as one of the best DPS by Profit, none other, one of the best DPS in the league on London Spitfire, the team that just got 4-0 this week, so that has a 4-0 record rather.
Yeah.
So this player to me is, I think, what's really the dynamic duo between him, Striker, and Gamsu, offering so much dive.
All right, so now it is time to meet their opponents. The second team, of course, there has to be another one. It will be the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, they might have 2 losses on the board, but their game against the Philadelphia Fusion was actually pretty close. They won on Dorado thanks to a very solid game plan against the Fusion dive. They counter-dove, focused down the backline, and managed to fully hold that first point. And that was partially thanks to Baby Bay, once again showing up and going off in at the end. And furthermore, they also managed to draw on Eichenwalder, so overall a really great performance.
This San Fran squad is clearly showing signs of improvement, almost taking down Philly, as you mentioned. They've clearly understood their weaknesses and started cleaning up their plays. Now, if only we could say the same about their city.
Oh, God. Okay. All right, Crumbs. Mate, we're going to have to get a security escort when you're coming out of here. You're making DMX references. Now you're insulting entire cities. All right, listen. But this is a team, in all seriousness, that they wear their heart on their sleeves. And that could be a bit of a double-edged sword in some regards, in the fact that, you know, if the whole team is not really playing too well, if they're not as cohesive as they might have been, you know, they get themselves down. However, when they are playing on point, when Baby Bay's hitting heads and he's being a big lad, right, he's stepping up, right, this is when this team really starts to get set on fire and starts making movements, because you want to see them when they're all fired up. When Baby Bay, who's a very vocal caller on the team, is starting to perform very well, the rest of the team is brought up with him, and they do play on a different level, which is what they're going to need coming into this matchup against Boston.
This is one of the things that you've dealt with in the past when you have the teams that ride on emotion. You know, the highs are high, but the lows are low, and they have to figure out exactly where they can meet in the middle here. I mean, who are your favorites? Let's just go ahead and we haven't done that yet today. So, you know, we're going to get into it for once. Prediction time. Starting with you, Zoe. Who do you think is going to take this one?
Oh, man, putting me on the spot.
I am.
All right. I think it's going to be Boston Uprising taking it home. There it is.
All right.
There it is. All right. See, thanks, Emma. Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
No, it's fine.
You guys don't need to like it. All right. So why? Why is Boston Uprising?
I just think generally the individual players, each and every one, they step up more in their own roles. I was really impressed with Kellex and Neko on those support roles during their last match. The communication has been spot on. And so far, I just feel like Shock has been a little bit more scrappy, a little bit too reliant on that Baby Bay going off. And that just caused some issues. However, on the same page, I do also think that Boston Uprising is, I don't want to say incredible one-dimensional, but I do think they're fairly one-dimensional, to rephrase that. So there might be an issue. Yeah, basically 4-gate, which is 8-8 dying. No, I just feel like the only thing I really saw out of them was dive.
All right.
And I do think Shock should be aware of that.
Yeah,
Brent, what do you make of it?
That's fair, right? Okay, I'm gonna have your back, Zoe. Don't worry. Don't worry about the crowd. Boston, I believe, are the favorites in this, right? Yeah, I mean, I feed off your tears. Keep them coming. Trust me. Listen,
you guys got the high ground. Just
don't throw anything.
That's why they give
don't throw anything.
Yeah, but I do feel like Boston are the favorites coming into this. However, you can't discredit San Francisco Shock, because like I said, Baby Bay is one of the star players in this team. If he's performing well, the entire team plays well with him. They're brought up in another level, and they've cleaned it up quite a bit. They've cleaned it up.
Wait, what the hell is going on, Striker?
They have cleaned up their play in terms of the tank play. Nomi, actually, I was incredibly impressed, because he's previously... What is going on here? This guy is Striker. I don't know.
He's too hot to handle. That's what I say. Fred, what are we doing here? I mean,
what am I doing? I'm talking about the tanks. I'm just saying, Nomi has played significantly better than he has in the past, and that was the main weakness that we pointed out in previous games. They have stepped it up from what we saw. Crumbs looks like he disagrees, but I gotta say, I think San Francisco Shock have a very good chance of winning this game.
And that's fine, Crumbs, because your two compatriots, you know, they went whole hog on this. They took up all the time, and so I'm gonna have to keep it short and sweet with you. Who do you think is gonna take it?
Listen, my boy Dak, born in Venezuela, just as me, representando la patria. I think the San Francisco Shock have a really good shot here. I'm gonna side with them, and I think they're gonna refine their anti-dive here.
All right, perfect. Thank you, everybody. And now, and including the crowd, love it, we are going to get the match started, and to bring you the action, to bring you the cast, it's going to be Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much. I don't know what Crumbs just said, by the way. That was straight fire. I don't even care. A bit of Spanish there. Love it. And, of course, a bit of the Venezuelan love between the two of them. But this match is an interesting one. Both of these teams 1 and 2 at this stage in the season.
Yeah, but when we talk about these teams, it seems like we kind of put like Boston a little bit higher. Like we hold them in a little bit higher regard than San Francisco. But
Why
San
is
Francisco,
this? Why is this?
I don't know. It may just be like the eye test, right, between these two teams.
Well, they don't have a damn excuse, and there's no reason for half the Desk to be thinking that they're going to take it out.
I think we've seen some nice things from the San Francisco Shock, right? I think their tank play has been better than expected. I think Baby Bay has been one of the rising stars that we have here in the Overwatch League in Stage 1. Sleepy is a very good flex support, so I think they have some very nice pieces, kind of built almost in the same way as Boston, right? I feel like just with a little bit more star power on the side of the
You see my boy Sleepy coming out though, 100% high five accuracy. He was watching it, he was looking all the way down, he made sure he got it in there.
He's seen the Reddit threads, he's like, oh man, he's like, I've seen them clip like the people just missing high fives, ignoring people. He's like, I gotta make sure. There's nothing on the internet about me, I'm high-fiving everybody.
It's a good omen, all right? We know this guy is sharp as attack when it comes to his Zenyatta and Ana play especially, so good signs all around. So we head into Dorado. Hey guys, make some noise! Last game of the week, what a week it's been! Let's finish it off with a crackerjack. The fireworks, I'm sure, will be going off here. The proud state of Massachusetts up against Northern California.
I think Dante versus Striker is a big matchup in this series. You know, Tracer v Tracer.
How good was Dante though? We saw the Shock play Dorado earlier on, even in the first week, and Dante completely stunted opponents there on this first part of the map. And that choke, he played it so well.
It looks like on the defense for San Francisco, Dante played Junkrat here, and you'll have Baby Bay playing McCree at least at the start. We'll see. Looks like this is what they're going to roll out with. They're pretty advanced out of their spawn. So they're going to go with a lot of spam fire. You imagine they're going to play the choke with this comp, right? You know, with some damage coming down from the Junkrat, you know, 1 or 2 headshots from Baby Bay, especially if he's getting damage boosted by Dak, should be able to finish those players off with relative ease. On the side of Boston, at least what it looks like now, obviously still some time to make changes. Looks like you're potentially going to see, you know, dive. It's really what you see out of them. It's what they do really, really well. Their tanks are extremely well coordinated.
This is aggressive. Look how far forward they're playing, Matt. The Boston Uprising now, not ones to be outdone. No early high ground. I think it's almost like Boston know already San Fran are up there.
Looks like Dreamcast were going to play the Hanzo. I was wondering if we're going to see just a scatter arrow come out of him and then go back to the spawn, but this could be interesting because, right, Hanzo can put down a ton of damage on these tanks. When you come through this choke, you don't exactly have a shield like an Orisa or a Reinhardt barrier to protect some of these players all the way in the back. McCree a little bit, you know, stationary of a hero.
This is so cool. I mean, you can see that how much the Shock are having to respect the presence of this Hanzo now. I mean, Nomi had to get out of there very quickly after that scatter came through.
And especially, like, now it forces Baby Bay. Like, you can't really play in this right-hand room, right? You have to play a little bit further back. And if you play in that area, like, one scatter arrow could take you out with relatively ease. You see right here, they know exactly where Baby Bay is. There's the scatter arrow.
Not a chance. And he's going for the res. That's so risky. There was a defense matrix covering him. Good presence of mind by Nevix to protect Dak as he went in for that res. They need Baby Bay here. He's crucial.
Look at how much space San Francisco's already given up. They have to respect the fact that this Hanzo can just do so much damage up in the open.
No one's dealing with it.
They have to back on up.
No one's dealing with it. Respect him so much. Baby Bay falls into the crosshairs of Kalios and he deals with it pretty comfortably. Dak also going to get taken down as well. It looks like the San Francisco Shock were not ready for this. The Boston Uprising bring the Hanzo win. They get themselves that first point. What a stellar approach here. It seems as if it took a while for the Shock to kind of realize what was even happening.
Yeah, now Baby Bay is going to switch off of McCree, go over to Widowmaker, and you're going to have Dante switch off of Junkrat and go over to Tracer, which even Tracer can be really scary to go up against Hanzo, right? Because one scatter arrow down on the ground takes you out. So just the potential here from the Hanzo pick out of
how do you play around this Hanzo?
Really nice. You gotta get like the tanks in his face, right? Just really push him out because, like, I mean, he can climb up the walls, like, but he has no like escapability, like a dash or like a blink, right? Yeah. So you have to just get right on him with the beefy targets. Really make him just kind of pay for being in these types of positions. Like, look, when he gets up here, like right around your entire team, you can't let him just kind of get out like this, right? Like somebody needs to.
There it is.
There you see it from Baby Bay.
Goes in for a scope shot there for the finish, if I'm not mistaken, and actually found the head. Oh, the flashy stuff. And that seems to have taken the wind out of Boston's sails, at least for the time being. More approach here on this second stage. We saw the tanks sort of going back and forth. A bit of, you know, Kalios and Nomi, as well as Gumsy, were getting their hands dirty there, but it looks like a slow and methodical approach here for Boston as Casper now switching over to the Widow here to challenge out Baby Bay. First shots fired. Casper with advantage. Baby Bay backing up.
It's going to be Dak using his Valkyrie, though. You're going to get Dante back into the fight. Needs to be a fight that goes in San Francisco's way. You're going to see Transcendence used here by the Boston Uprising as well, as Kellick's not really close to his Valkyrie just yet. You do have Sleepy here with his Transcendence, so you do need it for San Francisco. You have the option to use it. It was Gamsu actually who forced Sleepy all the way back there with Primal Rage. You can see it towards the back half of your screen, trying to get him to use that Transcendence a little bit early.
Also to force him off the high ground, Matt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take him a while to get back up there, and Boston have an opportunity to try and take a fight on the low ground. At least force the Shock to play into their hands a bit, but they can go high as well. As you can see, Dreamcast has picked off Nomi, and see Neko is essentially on, you know, payload duty at this stage. Obviously, Kellex and Gumsu are also there.
And Boston's done a great job of just advancing the payload all the way through this, right? They didn't give Sleepy a chance to use that Transcendence on that last point. When you just keep pushing them back and pushing them back, really makes it difficult to get a good use of that Transcendence. As we jump on with Dreamcast, for the guy can play anything here in the 1v1 Widow battle against Baby Bay. Baby Bay was a phenomenal Widowmaker during the preseason. Has to be very careful. You see Gamsu's going to jump right on top of Baby Bay, trying to force him out. This is what they wanted, the 1v1 Tracer versus Widow.
Nicely done. It's the 1-2 punch there of Dante and Baby Bay. You see Dante on that Tracer throwing in the crouches as well, making it hard to hit the head. And it's a cleanup. Gumsu to fall down. Striker now is somewhat out of position, and we'll probably just have to try and stay hidden for the time being. Kalios, sorry, my friend, they're going to leave you there. It's a long way to get to the next ledge. Nevix decides to keep him alive long enough before taking him down. Again, a discussion about who should get the kill to get that extra little bit of ultimate percentage.
When both tanks for Boston jump onto Baby Bay there in the back, oh, nice shots here from Baby Bay, but when they jump onto him in the back, they know that Dreamcast is alone there, and you'll take your Tracer in a 1v1 against the Widowmaker up close every day.
San Francisco now starting to find their flow. The rhythm is there, at least. Especially now with Baby Bay and Dante able to jump onto these individual targets. Now, they're a long way away at the moment from Gumsu. You can't really dive on them from here. Gumsu has to content himself from just, contest for the high ground, but Baby Bay is definitely king of the hill right now.
He's also got Dak right there on him. Whether it's damage boost, healing when needed, it just adds so much extra damage, and it's going to force Kellex to use his Valkyrie here, so you're going to get Dreamcaster back up into the fight. Dak is going to use his Valkyrie as well. Going to bring Nomi back in and Sleepy, so you get both players up here for San Francisco. San Francisco going on full strength right now. Baby Bay eventually does fall here to Dreamcaster, but San Francisco just has such a bigger advantage of players here over by the payload. Striker does take out Dante, though. See if they can turn that into anything.
I have a really good feeling about this match, Matt. I think this might turn into quite something. Sleepy goes down to Casper. Nomi wasn't able to take his attention away from his intended target. Unable to, again, create some sort of taunt scenario where he'd be the main focus. And Boston Uprising be very patient and just chill around the fact that Nomi's trying to take attention away. He got very little done on that Winston. Good patience from Boston there, just to work around the big body.
Yeah, but he uses his Primal Rage to just try and test the cart there for a little bit. And Boston Uprising pays him zero attention. They just kind of go on by him and just start locking down players coming off the spawn. Then they go back, kill Nomi, and Baby Bay is able to take out two. He will end up falling, though. So cleanup should come in for Boston. They will take point B. So now they advance to the last part of the map.
Not a bad look from the Shock at all, if I'm honest with you. 2 minutes left on the clock for Boston to finish the map. And this is a tough stage. Again, it's a long walk back for the attackers. We do have a Transcendence here for Sleepy, so we'll see if they're going to play off of that. Baby Bay's made the switch over towards the Genji here, so again, change of tact now. Maybe a little bit more of that front-loaded damage instead of sitting back and trying to find a good vantage point. This Striker versus Dante battle is going to be amazing, Matt, and that's going to be Nomi to go down to Striker, who manages to get back to the fight quickly enough to dispatch the enemy main tank, but Nomi's brought back to life.
Yeah, Dak enters and uses his Valkyrie here at the start of the fight. Boston will take the fight with their own Valkyrie there. You know, another option could have been they could have just backed on out. They would have got nothing for their Valkyrie, held on to their own Boston, right? And then you could have came in, you know, Valkyrie and then maybe even a Transcendence versus just a Transcendence on the other side. But they're still taking this fight. Just trying to make it work for him. Striker's going to back out with the rest of Boston. Looks like Kalio's potentially still stuck inside. He will get out with his life. So now it's going to be Boston Uprising resetting here. You're going to have Dreamcaster switch over to McCree. Personally, I would have liked to see them just back out of that fight, right? Not use your own Valkyrie, back out. You would have came back in right about now with about a minute to go. You would have had your Valkyrie, potentially your own Transcendence as well, go 2 support ults against just the Transcendence on the side of San Francisco.
I consider this switch to McCree a bit of a nod of the head, an acknowledgement from Dreamcast, but that perhaps more is required than just fighting fire with fire. Baby Bay goes down, though he gets caught amongst the arcs of the lightning from the Tesla gun, and Nomi also going down. Boston Uprising now starting to build up ahead of steam. Nevix is on his own, down to 7, now desuited. Had the self-destruct there, but opts not to go for it. Now it will be Boston moving forward. Nevix wants to save it for a payload stall. Smart choice to hold on to that one to bring it back later in the piece. 19 seconds. Boston are going to get towards the finish line with only one shot, Matt, to get this done.
Looks like they're going to have just Kalios on the payload here. You're going to have their McCree Dreamcaster set up top. You're potentially playing here for Deadeye here, right? You know, set up top because you know Dak is going to use his Valkyrie. You can see him flying.
He wants the Deadeye so bad.
It's going to be Baby Bay here with the Dragon Blade. He gets absolutely nothing for it. Here comes the Deadeye.
That's it. Oh, Nobi's going to go down to that one. Casper now has high ground control, but he's looking for Dak. Of course, the Mercy's still a threat, but Casper backs away. Knows he needs to respect Nevix's self-destruct that he saved from the previous fight. Good damage here from Dream Casper. Now you can see there's a lot of healing being dedicated to the McCree on the side of the Boston Uprising. Baby Bay dashes into Kellex. Mercy's down now. Baby Bay's going to look for more. The reflect is there. Dream Casper is the architect of his own demise. Kalios gets DMEC by the dash through. And San Francisco wake up towards the end. Again, it was such an interesting round to watch. Back and forth, kind of slow at some points.
Yeah.
But San Francisco fire up just when they have to.
And I think it's just that one fight from Boston. I would like to see them back out, save that Valkyrie, because they weren't really in a great position to push on through. When San Francisco comes in using their own Valkyrie, getting aggressive, they're in that close area right as you enter, into that like kind of warehouse area towards the later part of the map. And there just wasn't a great area for them to fight around that Valkyrie. You had, the Genji Tracer combination just diving down upon them, forcing them into the corners. If they would have backed out, you potentially could have had a big advantage going into that next fight.
Discussions now occurring on the San Francisco side of the stage, and you can see Sleepy and Dak there deliberating. Obviously, the two supports on this roster, a lot to be said about the way that they work together. It's very crucial. And Sleepy looking more awake today, which is also a good sign, because they're going to have to be putting their best foot forward against a Boston Uprising that people, for a long time said they didn't expect too much of. Now we're starting to see some real prowess. This roster, of course, Dreamcast, we've got the Danish Kellex, and of course, the core of Korean players that are providing a heck of a lot of dexterity and also experience into the lineup.
Well, I think coming in, we knew that Gamsu and Kalios were two very talented
been
tank
everywhere,
players. Yeah,
way.
we knew, Kalios playing the diva here, but wait until, maybe we see some Zarya play out of him. That's really the hero he's known for. He's a tremendous Zarya. Dream Casper has been a shining star for this team. I actually want to just touch on the other side. Baby Bay from the San Francisco Shock. It's so rare that we can see players, some players are just categorized as hit scan players, some players projectile. He is able to play everything. Like, he plays the Widowmaker at a high level.
Well.
McCree, yeah, you saw his Genji there be very effective at the end of the game. So that is why he's such a big asset to the San Francisco lineup.
And he wants the W big time. Maybe even more than a lot of his opposition here. A lot of hunger for victory here in this San Francisco lineup, and we can see that in the emotion that they apply. But now, Matt, they're in a good position here to set up well. Dream Casper's down early. Big DPS. Kellex has got to go and res that immediately.
Yeah, Baby Bay with a grapple shot right there, getting damage boosted by his Mercy. So you burnt the res on the side of the Boston Uprising a little bit early. You can kind of look at the clock, gauge when it's going to come back here for San Francisco.
He's down again.
Baby Bay yet again with a pick on a Dream Casper.
That's big, and there's not going to be any resurrect this time for Casper. And yep, that's the signal for Boston Uprising. Tail between their legs, back towards the courtyard. Breaking line of sight, and in doing this, losing Dream Casper and having to retreat gives Baby Bay all the real estate he could ever want.
Dream Casper going to switch off of the 76, going to play Genji here, and
respect.
You have to be so careful. And when the Genji is coming at you, whether you just shoot right into the reflect. He'll get a DMEC here on Kalios,
that's so
and gets away here from Gamsu for the time being.
Oh, he's down. Oh,
somehow he's going to live through this. Baby Bay taking a ton of damage. Unfortunately, his teammates not exactly living through it as well.
Yeah.
He'll lose both supports. He'll lose Dante as well. He'll have the back out.
Maybe San Francisco committing so much to keep Baby Bay alive that the rest of their bases were not covered. They're still looking for him, and still Baby Bay. Now, if there's any team that builds or dedicates a large amount of resource to one player, it's to Baby Bay, but he pays it back tenfold, Matt. Look up Neko there.
And he's actually trying to hit Kellex underneath the payload there with some shots to his feet. He connects with one, probably helps Nomi jump right on top of him, finish him off.
Ooh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It's time for the spice.
He's feeling it today. You can tell with the way he's shooting and the battles he's fighting. Baby Bay has showed up on point here.
And Gamsu has played, with and against some of the greatest competition worldwide. When he goes for a target, you more often than not expect them to be eliminated briefly. The guy's got real conviction as a main tank, but still, he's been evaded thus far from Baby Bay. And when you dedicate so many resources to dealing with a player and it doesn't work out, that can leave you shortchanged in other parts of your strategy and game.
Let's see how Boston plays around their Valkyrie here. Because they know that Baby Bay is hitting these shots on Widow. You have to be very careful when you decide to use this Valkyrie.
This is aggressive positioning, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a... Well, we talk about how difficult it is to play Widow on this side of the map on offense here into point 2. You see, he's just trying to get an angle here onto Kellex. Kellex get both of his res off. Still don't want to fall, though, because, Valkyrie just provides so much healing. completely. So now Baby is going to take the high ground up here. The Dreamcasper using the Dragon Blade gets nothing for it. Dante's going to get his own Dragon Blade here as well. Probably don't need it though to finish off some of these players.
Nico being put down there by Baby, so he managed to hit the ground and get defensive positioning set up to receive the fight. And San Francisco have done a good job here, accepting, receiving the dive, just bending back like a sapling, but you know they don't break, that's the whole point. Otherwise the analogy completely falls down. But now they have a Dragon Blade of their own to provide.
Yeah, well, and you also have Primal Rage as well, so you can kind of, well, and they're going to have Valkyrie. So San Francisco Shock in a great place here to push the payload to point B. Boston getting close to their own Transcendence. But, you know, you could have Nomi just kind of pop that Primal Rage, force it back, force the Transcendence out earlier, and then get a good use of this blade. That's really what it's about. Get a good use of this Dragon Blade. Take out Kalios, searching for more. There's the Transcendence here.
But he's already gotten a kill, so the Trans comes out for a 5-man roster of Boston, and San Francisco haven't lost a player yet. Some mid-air acrobatics from Baby. Please finish it with a shot, make me happy. No, well, that's good enough for me. Nevix chimes in, consistent as always, and he finds that kill. Boston Uprising seem to be in tatters right now. All those boys up on the desk talking about a 4-0 for Boston might want to be checking their glasses. Brent, you, my friend, give them a clean, because now the San Francisco Shock are on the final stretch with 4 minutes.
And you see Baby heading back to the spawn. You imagine the switch here. It's very difficult to play Widowmaker towards the later part of this map when you have that dive on the other side. So you're going to see him go and play Tracer. Interesting, a kind of reverse of roles. When you see San Francisco play Genji Tracer, it's usually Baby on the Genji and Dante playing the Tracer. This time we're going to see it the other way around.
So shout out to Brent. I think he said SF would win. So, my bad. Anyway, that gets taken down already. So no Mercy. There was no Valk there, so it's not a huge loss. And Baby found Kelix. So both teams without their Mercies, but San Francisco doesn't have any supports to speak of currently. So it will have to be them pulling the plug on this push. Let's see how Boston's set up in the aftermath of that. They're going to try and take more forward positioning. It looks like they'd rather just sit back on it a bit more.
Then Boston, they have a nice group of ultimates to use here in the next fight. You have your Valkyrie. Yeah, I mean, you have your Valkyrie and Dragon Blade going to have a Transcendence here. The side of the San Francisco Shock. What do you decide to do in this fight? Do you maybe use your blade to just get Valkyrie and maybe Transcendence out, right? Do you just try and use that ultimate to force 2 out from the other side and then come back and potentially have both support ults of your own?
Well, let's see. Transcendence has already come out. Sleepy was more than happy to use that straight away, but they're not backing it up with a Dragon Blade, which I find really interesting, and now it could be in trouble. All the Dragon Blades out. Sleepy, he's got 1 shot to finish this kill, and it's not going to be enough. Casper gets onto him there. And now he needs to back away. He's managed to get out of this one safely. The rest of Boston very clever to push it ahead to rescue Dreamcasper after he got in and found the assassination he was after.
That good aggression there for Boston after they use their Valkyrie. They hold on to Transcendence. You have that Transcendence to counter the Dragon Blade that'll come in from the San Francisco Shock.
What happened with that Trans? How did Sleepy get so far back? Perhaps something went wrong with San Francisco and they didn't want to dive in?
It looked like they were trying to go towards this right-hand side, potentially like come up fast on the high ground there. You see where San Francisco's entering there, and then Gamsu just jumped right on top of him in that little doorway, and that's where you saw the Transcendence
forced a hand, and they weren't in a position to engage. Beautiful way, by the way, to get that Transcendence out. Well, we can see they're trying to do the same thing to Kelix right now. Not that he has a Valkyrie, but they're trying to pressure the Mercy nonetheless. Baby wins the important DPS duel early in the fight. It's a stick. Pretty much damage away from it though, and Nevix is actually able to shrug most of it off until he gets desuited. It's an immediate self-destruct from Nevix now, and Striker now has to back up. Baby looking for blood, he's hungry, but Dunta seems to be getting most of the meal himself. San Francisco now on the home stretch. 3 of those players out now with Kalios to fall, and that's perfect. Sleepy steps up in the last moments, and Boston Uprising, it's DEFCON 7. All hands on deck now to try and stop the payload from getting home.
Yeah, Boston dove on in, Dreamcasper got low, and they tried to use their Transcendence to get to him, heal him on up. Weren't able to met that, and they take out Striker here before the final fight goes down. Gamsu as well. The stagger here coming in for Boston. They were getting close to their Valkyrie, not able to get back towards the payload. It'll be the San Francisco Shock taking map number 1.
I've said it a couple times before, man, but San Francisco came into the Overwatch League with a great deal of expectation on their shoulders. We've already mentioned it. They've got, you know, amazing players waiting in the wings to be of age, but this roster has recovered. They have been working on their plays so far. I think their Dorado in general this season has been very, very good. The Boston Uprising, in my opinion, don't look to be themselves.
No, they don't, and San Francisco Shock look to be on point here today. Baby really played great in this first map.
There you have it there, Baby some acrobatics here. All the DPS is giving us an extravaganza so far. Can't ask for much more to finish the week. Map 2 around the corner. Striker, sort yourself out.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP. put your hands together for the San Francisco Shock. I absolutely love this San Francisco Shock lineup.
Our goals as a team would probably be to finish top 3 in Overwatch League.
The Jack Attack is coming back, yeah, for sure.
I want to win the Overwatch League. Period.
San Francisco Shock holding strong.
I really want to win. Just forget about it, anything else, and just like focus on the game. I think overall, like the atmosphere of the team is insane.
Baby Bay comes in too with the Deadeye, actually.
Woo! The biggest goal we have set as a team is to just try our hardest every game and do what we can to win the first season of the Overwatch League.
My goals for this season are be the best teammate possible and try to win.
I think they've got exactly what they need. An overwhelming win.
At the end of the day, it's just, I gotta win.
Well, Matt, we talk a heck of a lot about teams wanting to win, the passion, the drive to obviously take home the W, but something I love about the Shock is that they understand and they appreciate the process of growing together as a team. You know, it's like we want to win, but again, we're here to play and we need to really respect the process instead of idolizing the result over it.
Yeah, this is a team that, you know, you look at the roster and you look at the players who they have coming into the roster later in the year, they are built for the long haul, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is a team that when we get into, you know, stage 3, stage 4 of the Overwatch League, you expect to be, you know, very, very good, right? They have so much talent on it, and right now they're actually showing that the talent they have playing is very good. So when you add those new players, you know, Sinatra and Super into the lineup, it's going to be a very difficult team to deal with.
And I mean, we're talking about the long haul, and we got a team like the Boston Uprising on the other side, who is exactly the same. It's straight, pretty much straight from Huck's mouth. You know, you put a lot of work into scouting these players, not necessarily guys you'd see at the top of everyone's tier lists, but players that have proven themselves already in the Overwatch League to be the real deal. That's what I'm excited about, and that's why this match is going to be so interesting. There's a lot of youth, a lot of passion on both sides of the battlefield here.
And you see on Boston's side as well. I mean, we talk about all the talent that they have. You know, Striker, such a great Tracer player. Dream Casper can play really, you know, anything in terms of DPS.
I mean, so
really
you've
strong
got
tank line.
The London Spitfire players are lauding him as one of the best Western DPS players.
Yeah.
You know, that's one opinion that's being held. And of course, none of these teams are subbing out, by the way. So same rosters coming in. They're pretty happy with what they've got.
And these are players on Boston who, you know, they haven't really played much with each other in the past. They've really just kind of been moved here. They're starting to work together. You're starting to see the pieces of a long-term, you know, plan being put together with the Boston Uprising. It's really nice to see.
Horizon, Lunar Colony. We've already seen some really exciting matches on this particular map today, and we're seeing a part of the map that doesn't often get traversed. Map, that outside area, of course, anti-gravity, not always conducive to flexibility in terms of an FPS.
Yeah. If you see somebody out there, they are in trouble. There's not a great angle you're taking from that way.
They're taking the Mickey if they're going out.
Yeah, they're not doing too well.
It used to be the old Diva mech jump guard. Remember when defenses would play further forward and they'd chase the mini Diva outside? It's the only way that obviously you can, you know, endure, like go back to spawn, or obviously end your own life. So that's the only way you can do it. Just jump out in space.
So it'll be San Francisco Shock on defense. They'll be running the comp that we see quite often here on Horizon Lunar Colony. Got the Orisa plus Roadhog to, you know, use the halt plus the hook, bring them up top. Then you have the ton of damage coming down from the Junkrat in the Roadhog as well. Boston will counter that with a dive. I remember when we did a telestration piece, that was, I think it was last week or maybe in the preseason, where Boston was able to break this pretty easily. They sent players up top, they had Dream Casper go around that back staircase and then just slice through members as they drop down.
We're playing dive into a composition that is designed to counter dive. Someone's already on the point, though. You can see that it's already being contested now. It's likely that is Striker that's already made his way over. He's going to get a tick. Oh, he's got the tick. Hello? The alarm bell should be ringing here for the San Francisco Shock, but perhaps they're just too busy now dealing with the threat on their front door. They allow it to get pretty darn close, and yeah, they've got to scurry back very, very quickly, and this is where your communication gets tested to the limits.
Just weren't sure there, San Francisco, whether to take the fight up top or send somebody back towards the point. And then they timed that perfectly, Boston. As soon as they were getting close to a tick, then they started to go up, and then it forces San Francisco to really make a split-second decision.
Again, it might be a counter dive composition, but it doesn't have the mobility of traditional dive, and this is what Striker's showing now. The second of two concussive mines thrown in this direction. The Dante deals with Striker. Gets rezzed up there. Those who are still a full cohort of Boston Uprising players close to the point. Kalios is looking for a target. He may just have found Sleepy, but he's low on HP. Kalios needs help. He won't get any though. Now with the Bunny Blaster is all the support that he's going to be having. And Dak goes for the Valkyrie. 2 reses up there. Dante and Nevix both back on their feet, and the Shock are scrambling to hold.
The Shock are going to use their Transcendence here as well. Both support ults used by Boston. Once this wears off, okay, it looked like Dreamcaster was going to use the blade there, but then he, okay, so he's going to use the blade. Oh! So I actually thought he wasn't going to use the blade because he heard the rip tire coming in from Dante, right? He didn't want to waste that ultimate. And then at the last second, he decides to pull it out, and he sees 3 players there. Roadhog, so difficult to kind of hack through with that Dragon Blade. Seems like forever, and then, you know, if he takes a breath, not going to do much damage to him. So ults across the board wiped out here.
Mind you, if I'm not mistaken, this is the map that Boston Uprising won in the match against New York.
Yes, it was. So they did look very good against the New York team, who we know to be one of the best in the league right now. Nomi getting very close to a supercharger. That Orisa ultimate that gives that damage boost to everybody in the area. Be used greatly on the point.
Alex down already. That's a huge pick. The Mercy out of the picture here for the Boston Uprising. You can't res the Reza, but might not matter here. Dak's been responded onto, and now it's the Boston Uprising coming forward and really putting in the thumb screws. Kalion still with Nevix up close in person. Babyface not long for this world. It looks like the Uprising have found the answer.
Once they force him down from the high ground, there's no fight left for the San Francisco Shock. See some changes coming in here for San Francisco. They'll go Genji Tracer with Winston and Diva. Okay, Baby will go back to Widowmaker, so probably playing on that back right-hand high ground from the spawn. Dreamcasper will play McCree here, so you see McCree get a lot of love here as we go into point B on Horizon Lunar Colony. Some open areas, maybe you can do some damage on the players hiding on top of the Raptors.
Striker pounced upon there. Dante was looking for an easy kill, but Striker thought better of it. The HP was there. The Dreamcaster has fallen to Baby Bay. It's tough for a McCree to go up against the Widow, but how about no Widow? Because Kalios has taken care of that particular issue. And Boston now is ahead of steam. They're building up just like a big old riverboat straight down the middle. Dante has fallen, and San Francisco, a token resistance perhaps at the start of the fight, but now the wheels are falling off the bus. Nevix kicked out of his suit there. Desperation onto the point here for Baby Bay.
San Francisco's gonna get both support ults though. Sleepy uses the Transcendence, they'll use their Valkyrie as well. You'll get Nevix back into the fight.
3 ticks already.
Imagine they res Nomi, yep, get those large HP targets back up. Striker with a Pulse Bomb, doesn't connect with anything. Be a self-destruct from Kalios, he's able to get 1. You get the other tank out of the equation. Nomi's down for San Francisco Shock. Dreamcaster here with a Deadeye.
It's gonna be
going in favor of Boston. Getting very close. Dante coming in here with the Dragon Blade. He's able to get 1 and then finally falls.
That's gonna be it. I think there's only a couple more players to push forward. Oh, actually, to be fair, Nomi managed to get on towards the point. Now Sleepy, it's 1 by 1 though. It's not in numbers like they needed to be. San Francisco definitely running out of steam here. And Kalios is more than happy to receive. Nevix now pushing onto the point. Takes to the skies to avoid the explosion. Still takes some damage, but Boston are still finding the kills here. San Francisco very much just keeping it in terms of pleasantries and formalities now. Pushing on towards the point 1 by 1. It's a couple bit of extra seconds that they can buy themselves, but that's got to be it. They're walking 1 by 1 of the meat grinder. And this is a much better look here from the Boston Uprising. A slow start, to be fair. But I've got to say, Boston are incredibly good at identifying, getting that first pick and then snowballing that. Or at least knowing how to use that man advantage just to completely wipe a fight.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Boston Uprising able to get to that high ground early on point A. We see so many teams struggle, forcing teams down from the high ground. Striker goes behind enemy lines, he gets 1 tick, and then they come back in that next fight and they clean house, and then it just kind of all falls out of control there for the San Francisco Shock. We'll see what Boston decides to do on defense. Do they try and run their own Orisa Roadhog combination with a Junkrat? Do they play this kind of dive comp?
I feel like we're more likely to see this dive from the Boston Uprising. I feel like they're one of those teams that have been more reluctant to maybe move over to playing that, we did see it, to be fair, and Dreamcasper had an incredibly good game on the Roadhog recently. It was like 80% plus of hooks.
Yeah, it was like 87% hook accuracy on an Oasis game.
In all fairness, we're dancing around the maypole about the fact that you're throwing hooks into Orisa balls and getting your guaranteed hook hits. It's still significant, even with Orisa giving you those easy picks as Roadhog. So bear that in mind, and Matt, we're going to have to see. We'll wait for them. They've got 40 seconds to decide, but let's have a look at San Francisco's defensive setup here. It's interesting.
Well, yeah, it'll be San Francisco on offense. So it'll be San Francisco on the offensive side. You got trolled. It's okay. San Francisco will be on offense here. They'll go Quad Tank, Lucio, and Moira. Moira, obviously, to provide all that healing. I wonder how fast Sleepy will be able to charge this ult, because we've seen teams charge it rather quickly because there's Junkrat on the other side, there's Roadhog, guys who just lay down a ton of damage. With the squad that Boston has right now, with this dive, they're going to go in and try and finish these fights. It's not going to be long, extended fights where the Junkrat's just poking damage and Widowmaker's poking damage. So we'll see if the San Francisco Shock stay with this.
Big and bulky, that's the name of the composition. It was not, actually. It's my vernacular for it. but they're going to have that Moira in there as well. I mean, the bigger bodies, the more HP pulls, the more shielding you can get, the more ultimates you get, and it follows as such. So, San Francisco Shock make it past the first stage of this gauntlet essentially unscathed. The second is to move on to the point and brawl it out in the old-fashioned way. Bare glove boxing, that's the way it goes. Dante's not connected the first few of his shots, and the main line of Boston Uprising is still fairly unharmed.
And with these large targets, Dreamcaster are going to be able to farm this Dragon Blade rather quickly. Striker will take out Sleepy. So you lose Moira for the side of San Francisco Shock. You lose Nomi on the Reinhardt here. It's been a tough start here for San Francisco as Dreamcaster are ready with that Dragon Blade. Going to have a Transcendence here. You're going to use the sound barrier of San Francisco Shock. They're 2 players down, so the sound barrier connects on 3 players here. Dreamcast are going to use their Dragon Blade, swipe through Baby Bay, so maybe use that sound barrier because you're going to switch off of this, but you only have 3 players there, so you only connect with 3 players on the sound barrier. Maybe you want to try this one more time if you're San Francisco, though.
Seemed like that really unraveled towards the end of the fight there for San Francisco. Well, we were on board, I think, with the perspective of Dante as well, who was trying to get that early damage in with a scrap gun on that Roadhog, and it seems as if Boston were given a bit of a reprieve at the start of the fight, a chance to maybe fire up the engines, and Kellex is going to be very close to a Valkyrie here, so that's worth bearing in mind. However, this Graviton could be the game changer. He's going to use it here, though. Who's he really getting it onto? Yeah, Gumshoe's down, but that's kind of it. No, Dreamcast was around the corner. He's going to be rezzed up frantically here by Kellex, trying to keep the numbers good, because Boston will eventually need to fight this on the point as well as outside. 6 men up for the Uprising here. Mercy's done her job.
Yeah, you're at full strength here for Boston, so they use the grab. They really don't get much out of it here from the San Francisco Shock. Striker with a pulse bomb. We'll see if he uses it. He does use it. He connects on 1 target. They walk into the next target, and you end up getting 2 there. So it'll be a hold here from Boston Uprising. Dreamcast are already close to another Dragon Blade. Now you see some switches coming in from San Francisco. So Dak is going to play Mercy. They're going to go with Sleepy playing Sombra here, then Baby Bay will play Widowmaker, and then they'll basically change everything up, except for Nevix, he'll stay on Diva. So Nomi will play Winston, Dante will go back and play Tracer.
And perhaps the Shocker favoring the Mercy here to give them that tempo in the fights. They're sort of getting picks, they're getting 2 kills, and they're both being rezzed out. The Graviton men essentially nothing because of the Valkyrie.
So you kind of backed yourself into a corner a little bit if you're San Francisco playing around the grab. You got nothing for it. Now you're kind of playing around the EMP. What happens if you don't get anything out of that? You only have 1 minute and 15 left on the clock. And they're really banking on getting a great EMP here from Sleepy when he gets it off. He's going to connect with a hack here onto Dreamcast. We're not going to be able to use any of his abilities. Doesn't matter, though.
There you go. That should speak to the depth of the Uprising there, that they don't require Dreamcasper to be necessarily in fighting form, and they still can repel the Shock.
And the EMP needs to be perfect. Baby Bay needs to use that infrared sight because you have to connect on Kellex and Neko with it. If you don't connect with those 2 players, they have the Transcendence, they have the Valkyrie to just swing the fight right back in Boston's favor.
It's far easier to get an EMP onto a team with the anti-dive composition that plays close together by definition because they have an Orisa shield. Now the Uprising are playing this dive defense, so it's very hard to reliably corral them all into a close quarters area.
They use the EMP, they get the Zen in it, so you're going to see Valkyrie come out from Kellex. See, Dreamcaster just putting pressure on Baby Bay up top. Sees him there, just the dash through, just forces Baby Bay back, and you played around this EMP. Now you use both support ult here for the Boston Uprising. Dak getting it very close to his own Valkyrie, but you don't really have a lot of your great targets available up by the point here. It's going to be Neko taking out Dante. Here comes the blade.
One more fight, and it looks like the Boston Uprising are all over this like moss on a rock. A disappointing attack from the San Francisco Shock after such an incredible first map. In all honesty, as the Boston Uprising now playing this defensive dive composition. They got mobility. It's very hard to get a good EMP off of them, even though Sleepy did. It didn't allow the Shock to win that fight out.
Yeah, Sleepy at the end uses that EMP. He connects with 3 targets. He gets the Zenyatta in it, but you had Kellex for Boston Uprising playing all the way in the back, able to use that Valkyrie, come right in, bring the Zenyatta back to life. Then they use the Transcendence to close it out.
Get your boxing gloves on, ladies and gents, because these 2 teams are trading blows back and forth. It's now 1 map apiece as we head into the halftime. You can see just what a Pulse Bomb does to a closely composition. We're going to head now over to Control, right around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP.
All right, welcome to halftime, ladies and gentlemen. We are through the first 2 maps in the last series of the day and the last series of the week. We've got 2 more coming up after this, but first, let's go ahead and hop into the first map, gentlemen. Dorado, that's what got us all started here between the San Francisco Shock and the Boston Uprising. Bren, start with you. Do we have anything going on here?
Yeah, so Dorado was an interesting one for me personally, because we saw a different side of San Francisco Shock. They were a bit more disciplined in terms of the way they were going in and engaging. It's a different side to them. I haven't really seen it before, and it was very promising indeed, and it was the reason they actually took the map. I feel like Boston Uprising were taken off guard a little bit. They were expecting San Francisco Shock to maybe come into the map with the same sort of game plan they've been running in previous games they played, and that wasn't the case. And in particular would be the last final push for Boston Uprising, when they were trying to push into the final checkpoint, because they were waiting around. They were just basically shaving time off the map, constantly waiting for San Francisco Shock to go in, to be the ones initiating, to be the ones going in and punishing their mistakes, but it just wasn't happening. There was a lot of patience by San Francisco Shock, which I was impressed with.
I was impressed too by Boston's Hanzo pick. I actually think that this is something that we might get to see a little bit more. Typically you see the Hanzo come out to just scout out, to see if anybody's in the rooftops, throw out that Sonic arrow, but he stuck through it, and it does offer a new kind of dimension that typically you have the Widowmaker, but with the Hanzo you can actually contest the high ground against these tanks, get them off there, and start pushing the front line back at ASAP. And I think it actually gave off too much respect from San Francisco. They basically just conceded the point from the start because they didn't really know what to do with the Hanzo pick. But I think that this is the start of maybe the development of a Dorado meta that we might not have seen before.
It's the same kind of with King's Row, right? If you've ever watched King's Row on competitive Overwatch at all, basically you'll notice that Hanzo gets run quite a lot. And that's mainly down because he works well against sort of tanky compositions. He works well with sort of choke pointy, a lot of angles where you can hit the scatter arrows, you can hit the sonic arrows. Same sort of concept applies. So I think you've got a good point there about running it. And it kind of applies the same with Widowmaker as well in terms of the sightlines that get available. Hanzo works in the same way. We've seen a lot of teams run Widowmaker on Dorado first checkpoint. We might see the same with Hanzo here. It does work relatively well against certain teams that are unprepared for it.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if we're watching matchmaking today. You know, we get to see a Torb, you know, we get to see a Hanzo. Yeah, just waiting for the Symmetra now. At this point, we're going to be good to go. All right, moving into the second map then. I mean, this is actually your favorite as well, Crumbs, or at least it's starting to become, just because we're getting to see a whole variety of different strategies come up on Lunar.
Exactly. Horizon Lunar Colony just has so much depth to it now with the quad tank that you can be running, and I think what ended up happening was San Francisco, I think, recognized that quad tank is something that other teams are running to success without actually identifying the reasons why this composition ends up working, and Boston keeps running this dive composition that was able to just go on the backline of the San Francisco Shock and continuously punish the supports, and they were punished so hard that the actual death count from both supports was 16 to a mere 6 on the side of the Boston Uprising. And when you don't really know what side to run, or where you always stick to the left side, which is what they were doing, you make it so easy for the defense to sit in the high ground and just whittle you down, so that by the time you actually reach to the point, you're not really there doing anything. You haven't built up any charges on anybody. You're already half HP. It's just not worth it without understanding. First you scout, then you decide which side you go, left or right.
Yeah, so it felt like San Francisco in general were a little bit more uncomfortable running the compositions that they did, whereas Boston stuck to what they knew, which was the tried and tested dive composition, and that worked out well for them. And in fact, you know, Horizon is a very good map for Boston Uprising. They took it against New York Excelsior, as far as I'm aware, and it definitely showed, to be honest. They're a lot more disciplined in coming into the map compared to the San Francisco Shock. They were trying to sort of Orisa Roadhog high ground hold, which a lot of teams have been having a lot of success with, but you need to know when to sort of come back onto the point and start defending from that point. The timing was a little bit off, in my opinion. You're pointing at me, Semler. You look like you want to interject.
No. I'm just wondering. You know, we're hearing a lot about the strategy here for Boston Uprising. The fact that, you know, they are very on point when it comes to dive. Next map is going to be a control map. It's going to be Oasis. Do we think that this is going to be a significant factor going into the third map?
Most likely, yeah. I mean, if San Francisco Shock are pulling out tank compositions now, Oasis is the perfect map for it. We saw New York Excelsior in the previous match. They were pulling out Orisa Roadhog compositions, trying to defend, basically using the map's geography to their advantage. And it's very effective, as we found out. They ended up winning in a very dominating fashion on Oasis, if you can play it correctly. So we'll see if San Francisco can work out of kinks.
Yeah, they were definitely on top.
Yeah, they were, absolutely.
Well, San Fran actually on Horizon have never even cracked point A so far, so I think that their understanding of the map has been lackluster, to say the least. I think it was against Shanghai, actually, when they did not crack point A.
Yeah, well, you're going to start asking some questions. That's the reality of the situation. No, but I mean, I did big up both these teams before in a pregame. I gave a bit of a cop-out answer when I talked about my prediction because I was like, oh yeah, Boston are the favorites, but San Francisco, they're pretty good, you know.
That's always it, though. When you get into the middle of the pack, it's really going to be the small mistakes that define the matchup and who's going to come out ahead. So do we still, side with, the Boston in this sort of scenario, or are we deciding to change it up?
I would say so, unless San Francisco Shock really impress me on Oasis now and change up sort of essentially just cleaning up the mistakes they were making with the tank compositions, we may see a completely different outcome, because Boston do like to basically only run one composition, changing up the odd DPS or here and there, and it does work very well because they are very practiced on it. That's the whole reason they're sticking with it.
Well, I think Crumbs, real quick.
Yeah, if they're inspired by the New York XLs running of Orisa Hog pretty much all throughout Oasis, I think they'll have a lot more success because it's a lot easier to protect your backline that's been just getting pounded so far, that as long as you can keep these guys from dying, you heal everybody, more support ults, more game-winning ultimates.
Fantastic. All right, guys. I think it's time to get into the mix. It's time to get into the action. And so we do have the third map coming up. We've now gotten into some points, what to keep an eye on here coming into it. But it is a control map. It is going to be Oasis. And, of course, we have a pair of exuberant commentators who are ready to bring you the action after this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Boston, they may have done it. Great pick for San Francisco, making his presence felt in a big way here. San Francisco Shock, can they do it? Striker really coming through from his team in the end. Looks like they have done just that, and Boston got some kills. San Francisco, what a start. Big hype about a lot of people on this team. Baby Bay has been so accurate with those shots too. That is a quick win.
Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena, ladies and gentlemen. Final day of week 2 of the Overwatch League, and what a match we have to cap it off. I want to get Johnny, right? Get Reinforced out from the back with a placard that says round 3, and I want him walking across the stage like this, because it has been quite the slugfest between
It'd be the only work that Johnny has done here so far.
Correct, and I'm sure he can work it. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely been one of those back and forth, though. I've talked about, you know, I've used a lot of boxing analogies here. I'm kind of running out of them, but what I'm trying to say is that these two teams have looked very, very strong on very different maps.
Yes, the first map obviously went in favor of San Francisco Shock. They looked great there. They didn't look so great on Horizon map number 2. That's where Boston dominated. Equaled the series up at 1 game apiece. We go into Oasis, no subs on both sides. These have been teams that have kept pretty much standard rosters throughout all of our games thus far. And nobody coming in and out, everybody playing majority of their games. So we'll see what happens on Oasis. I think this is where you ask a lot of BabyBay, right? He's so good on the hit scan. He'll probably play Pharah here if they want it. Potentially, you know, whether Dante plays Tracer or Genji, he'll play the other. Just force him to do a lot of different things. Dreamcasper, we've seen his Pharah already. Very good on that hero. The fact that actually Dreamcasper is so good of a Pharah, you may actually not see it on the side of San Francisco Shock, right? They may end up running like a McCree to counter it. We even seen like Widow a little bit here on Oasis to go against the Pharah. So I think it'll be very interesting and telling what San Fran decides to do here to counter this Pharah play.
Watching Dreamcasper going up against BabyBay kind of reminds me of that part in Zelda where you end up having to sort of fight yourself, or like a projection of yourself, and only one can come out on top, because these two obviously do have those really quite similar pools, you know what I mean? Pharah could be a pick for both of them there. I wasn't sure if we'd see it or not. Yeah, I mean, so you can see that Casper's looking at it here. Obviously, the overlay is back to front on the top there, guys. On the right side of your screen, and it is going to be the Boston Uprising. On the left, it's San Francisco. I mean, you know, you guys see the
You can figure it out.
But yeah, so importantly, crucially, in fact, we're going to have at least a Pharah here by the looks of things from Dreamcasper for Boston Uprising. I wonder, though, BabyBay on the McCree, it seems like a direct response to the expectation of seeing a Pharah.
I was going to say, it would be very difficult if you were to play like Lucio, Moira, and like not have given like this Zenyatta orbs for BabyBay.
Rough.
The Discord up in the sky. There'll be Mercy on both sides. Only difference is you don't have the Lucio on the side of the San Francisco Shock.
All right. Kalios takes pole position early on here, so that means that San Francisco... Dak? Did he go running in traffic?
Oh, I think he did.
Oh my lord!
Actually,
yeah, I don't think anyone pushed him into that either. So that's well, that's a bit of a blooper moment, perhaps.
So Dreamcasper is over the top here of Kalios. He could have actually, you know, kind of booped him into traffic.
Would that not have shown on a kill feed though?
Would have
blast resulting in a kill?
It would have actually given, yeah, because there would have been some kind of damage laid down by Dreamcasper, right? So.
Okay. So I think people have been hit by traffic in the Overwatch League 4 times. 2 of them have been Taimu, of course. Now Dak gets himself on the board. By the looks, we can only assume anyway. Kellex goes down to BabyBay early in the fight, so San Francisco snapped back pretty quickly.
Yeah, BabyBay switches off of McCree, goes to Widow real quick just to shoot Kellex out of the sky.
All right, we can watch this.
Then goes back. Okay, so let's get a look here from Dak's POV.
Surely no one just walks it.
What had happened? No, he does get, it looks like he got knocked back a little bit with a
Oh dear. Yeah,
I want to believe he did.
We gave him the benefit of the doubt, Matt. That's all we can do. BabyBay, though, gets completely blown asunder there. He's now gone over towards the Pharah. I guess the Widowmaker was just a brief period just to get a long shot on towards the Mercy. And now Casper might be ruling the skies here, or the Roost. He finds Nomi. It's a mutual kill, though. Both of them go down, and Boston maintain control of the point here. And honestly, they're looking comfortable.
And they haven't really had to use any ultimates. I mean, you still see they have a Rocket Barrage. They're going to get very close to both support ults. Primal Rage as well, already up to 53% and counting.
See, Dax having no more mercy. I reckon he just put his foot down and said, no, I'm not doing it. Give me Lucio now. And that seems to be the plan. So Sleepy now, over to, which is not something we see quite often right away. No. I'd definitely be interested. I mean, you need the Lucio, and if anyone's going to play it on this team, it's going to be Dak. That's fine.
Dak is a very good Lucio player.
However, double support ultimates are brewing for the Boston Uprising. They're going to have their Valkyrie ready to go when they need it. Casper goes down early. That's going to have to be a res. Kellex had no choice but hit the Q key real quick. Pulse bomb now dropped. Nevix desuited, and Striker was able to get that job done there. You see we're watching Kalios here, and he's trying to, again, just trying to keep an eye over the entire battlefield and trying to respond to threats as they come up. BabyBay, not much you can do about the micro rockets there. Maybe Divas are smaller in size, but they definitely pack quite the punch.
And in Boston, they'll use their sound barrier here as well. They've already used their Valkyrie here. The Rocket Barrage coming out from BabyBay. Doesn't look like he's able to connect with anything. If you're Boston, just get this into overtime, right? At 99% here, they're able to force overtime.
Okay.
You see the kills coming in from the San Francisco Shock. They will be able to flip the point in their favor. They did force a lot of the ultimates out from the Boston Uprising. The bad part here for the San Francisco Shock, they need to pretty much play perfect from here on out, right? You know, Boston takes the point back. You know, they eliminate a lot of the players on San Francisco. Will be the first point that would go in favor of the Boston Uprising here. Zach does have his sound barrier here to use.
Again, it's a tough decision. It's like, if Dak uses it earlier, there's a chance he might get it back by the time the real fight begins, or the final fight. But he might need to use it if he gets forced out of his team. You can see Babybay's being tickled right now. Only just tickled by Gumshoe. When Striker went very low, he was forced to get healed up very quickly. Went for the recall, if I'm not mistaken. Sound Barrier has been committed to the fight, so that means the Shock do realize there's a bit of a threat here. And they need to get more done, because Nomi's gone down to Striker despite having the Sound Barrier, and Kalias up on the ground. Again, most of the damage from Babybay is being shrugged off. He's not been able to have the impact he's looking for so far in this round.
And Kellex does use a Valkyrie here, so he gets his Valkyrie, he's going to pop it. Dream Casper connects with one rocket onto Babybay, just forcing him back a little bit. This will be a big fight if San Francisco is able to win it. See, Gamsu's going to use Primal Rage here, and Boston has already invested their Valkyrie into this fight. Sleepy has his Valkyrie, holding on to it, deciding when he needs to use it here. Dream Casper with 3 rockets right into Babybay. That's going to force the Valkyrie out from Sleepy.
Stunning work there. There's nothing that Sleepy could do. He needed to get the Farah back. There's no margin of error left for the San Francisco Shock now, but Babybay, he's back, and he's back with a vengeance. Finds Kellex now as well, and Nevix is trying to get in his way just to protect him. Nicely done. Good coordination there between, especially the Swedish off-tank and Babybay up on that Farah, and that has bought them crucial moments now to take us to one more fight.
Yeah, Boston ended up using their sound barrier, and I didn't get a chance to see. I saw it connected with Kellex, didn't actually catch it, see if it connected with anybody else, so you didn't really get much value out of that second support ult, and Dak's going to have a sound barrier, you know, getting closer for this next fight. He's at 80% here. First pick is huge.
Man, you took the words out of my mouth. You're exactly right. That might be it. No, yes, it's going to be a DC on Kalias. I'm indecisive, but Dante knows exactly what he wants. However, the barrage comes in to respond, and Nevix is DC on Kellex down, though. This may well be the San Francisco Shock. A horror nightmare start to this round, but they're bringing it back and doing so in style. Neko's low. Nomi bounces on top of Striker, and he is no more. Babybay opts now to drop some velocity and some altitude to get towards the ground, and Nomi, nice little brace of kills towards the end of the round. Gamsu finally capitulates, and the San Francisco Shock. I don't think I've seen a better recovery in a control point round in quite some time. Talk about mental grit to pull yourself back from a bit of a meme of the beginning of that round.
I mean, 99-0 to bring it all the way back. That last fight, you know, the second to last fight, really, where Boston used both of the support ults. They used the sound barrier, they got no real value from it. That's where things started to fall apart for the Boston Uprising. We'll see if San Francisco can take this next point. It would be really crushing for Boston, right? They got off such a great start.
San Francisco weren't afraid to make the change. So Sleepy on Mercy, for crying out loud. Dak over towards Lucio, of course, and that seemed to be what they were looking for. So now we're going to be heading to University, ladies and gentlemen, and there's going to be a tank-heavy composition from the San Francisco Shock. Likewise, for the Uprising, the Zarya being a big difference, as with the Moira.
You're going to go triple tank here for the Boston Uprising. San Francisco Shock will run Nomi on the Orisa, and they'll have Nevix play the Roadhog here. Babybay putting down a ton of damage on the Junkrat, already 60% charged on his ult.
Well, Babybay with 3 kills in that fight. And you can see the difference the Junkrat can make. They know that Boston are going to be playing close together. You see, they're done with this now. Back to the bread and butter, back to the dive comp here. Playing big tanks all bunched up made them so vulnerable to Babybay's Junkrat. Look at that ult percentage.
In a way, this is the same kind of comp that San Francisco ran on Horizon Lunar Colony, right? Where you had this Junkrat, you had both tanks, you know, the Orisa and the Roadhog, and how did Boston break it? They ran the straight dive. So they're going to go with the same thing here on Oasis, see if they can force Babybay out of position here. They're going to dive in right now. Oh, that is why Junkrat's so powerful against Genji and Tracer. Just a double mine. Now the Riptire comes out from Babybay.
Over the top again. Will he settle for a tank? No, he's thinking about it. Yes. No way for Gumster to get back into this fight. That might have been the biggest pick he could have found. And the wind taken out of the Boston Uprising sails once again. Resurrects now in the end of the fight just to make sure that it's a full cohort of San Francisco players ready to receive it. This is a far better start than we saw in that previous round. SF are looking vastly improved over this last week or so, Matt.
Yeah, the Shock have their Valkyrie up here. Going to have, probably both of their tank ultimates in. Sleepy going to get closer to Transcendence here. huge ultimate advantage going into this next fight. It's just if they can hold on to enough of them when Boston has their large war chest of ultimates.
Yeah, you got to ration those ultimates out for the cold winter. Just like outside today, actually. Not that pleasant, but Casper is found two. The dash is there, and then Sleepy fell right after. Now, Kellex is going for a res just to make sure they're going to win this fight out. May not even necessarily have been required, at least not the res, but he did it just in case. There was no other choice. They had to win this fight, and they do.
Yeah, I mean, they use the Valkyrie, does Boston, and if you are San Francisco, you're not too upset that you end up losing that fight. Why don't you have your own Transcendence, Transcendence on the other side for Boston, to block that Dragon Blade that'll come on through. You have the Supercharger Whole Hog combination, and you have a Riptire. So Riptire can be used greatly to, enter the point, right? Use it as, kind of a lead the charge ultimate, so to speak. And then you have the damage boost that Nomi will be able to provide for the rest of the team. So here's going to be that Riptire leading on in. They do get a DMEC. It's going to force Kalios to use a self-destruct. It's going to be Sleepy using his Transcendence. Some of that poke coming down from Dreamcaster forces it out, but he dies right at the beginning here, and you don't have a Valkyrie for Boston Uprising, so they're going to have to back out.
But they can't go too far away, Matt, because look how close the Shock are to finishing the round. That's why Kalios came forward. He knows he might just have to give himself up, but if he gets staggered here, they may well be without a D.Va at a crucial moment. All of Boston now need to sit well back until they have six players ready to go.
And Dreamcaster needs to go huge here with his Dragon Blade. There's no support ult on the other side to block it. He has to be very careful not to get too close to Baby Bay, though, get hit with that double mine.
Dragon Blade comes in. Nomi now needs to try and about face and deal with this Genji. Doesn't have the whole of cooldown. He needed it to try and control the mobility of the Genji, but he's still getting healed. That shield is paying dividends, but Gamsu does cut through it, of course. Tesla Gun doesn't really care about your bubbles, barriers, and otherwise shields. And at the last stroke of midnight, the Uprising bring it back. It's 45-99.
Dreamcaster was able to get Baby Bay on the Junkrat right away. That was the first target he went for, was able to eliminate him with that Dragon Blade. After that, just works his way back towards the point. Boston will flip it in its favor. Baby Bay goes over to McCree now. Maybe deal with these flankers a little bit better.
This was definitely a sense that he's respecting Casper. Yeah, you're going to hear that beat for a little bit, guys. That means we're at 99% for the Shock. Maddening as it is, it's a reminder to the Boston Uprising that they cannot give up this point control for even a second. They need to maintain and plant their feet. Now, Baby Bay forces the reflect out of Casper there as well. He doesn't check his left side. He's actually being pressured by the Genji from behind again. You can see that Casper sees him look away for just a moment, but now he's got to back away. Sleepy's back, but so is Gamsu. So both initial picks have been restored to the fight. It's a 6v6 now, with Kellex getting Gamsu back, but it quickly is sent back to the Shadow Realm almost as quickly as he was brought back in. Baby Bay's being jumped up by Kalios, but he's handling this like an absolute champ. Getting the body shots in on a mini D.Va is not easy to do at all. And now at 99-91, San Francisco look to finish the round. Casper goes down. Sleepy picks him off. Very important. That was the way out of this situation for the Boston Uprising. But there's no easy road here. And no get out of jail free card. No! You do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And it is going to be the map looking good for San Francisco Shock. Ball to be done though. As the Deadeye claims Kellex. Kalios comes back in. Self-destruct though. They'll just force a bit of a disengage. Zoning ultimate as they're considered. And it looks like San Francisco have the numbers here.
They do get Gamsu back onto the point. Striker and Dreamcasper as well. Gamsu will fall. You have Kellex going over to Lucio, just trying to get back onto the point here, help his teammates out. Not looking good here for Boston, as San Francisco will take Oasis.
After the first round there on Oasis, you'd be forgiven for thinking that, perhaps San Francisco had to really claw things back and be super close. It was a terrible start for them. They didn't have the beginning they wanted to on that map, losing the Mercy early on, but then they brought it back, and then a very strong second showing. We're seeing a flexibility of the DPS players here, Matt.
Yeah, Baby Bay was huge, playing on the McCree. The Pharah on this map really made a difference for the San Francisco Shock.
Unlucky for Dak there. Wasn't his fault. We'll be back after the break with one more map.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP and by Intel.
And it was a 19 eliminations, 2 death scoreline from Mexican native Nomi in that previous map there. You can see his Winston really able to shine on Oasis, but you kind of feel like we're talking the break, Matt, that perhaps that Boston Uprising aren't looking themselves.
Yeah, they just seem like their engagements are just not as clean as usual with their dive, and especially, you know, when that last fight, I believe they just jump in towards that right-hand side. They decide to engage with their own Valkyrie, and they use it really early. They have control of the point. They have like 87% at that moment in time, and now they allowed San Francisco to back on out. Now they trade a few kills. Then San Francisco uses a Valkyrie of their own. They're able to res their players back up, get a big advantage going back towards the point.
So we're heading over to Eichenwald for our final map of the series. But Matt, quickly, is there ever really a good time to engage aggressively with Valkyrie?
Yeah, we actually saw Philadelphia do a really nice job of it when they had Neptuno in the lineup. I believe it was Lee Jang Tower we casted that match. It was a game 5 where they were using their Valkyrie to engage, and what I really liked about it is they just allowed Carpe and Shadowburn just go real deep on the opponents and just res them right back up and made it very difficult to deal with. So I think in the way that Boston used it though, right, they used the Valk to engage, and you just kind of sat back with the Valk, and then you got your 1 tank up, and then you got 1 DPS up, and then you lost the other DPS, and you just don't have enough firepower to really just kind of like put that team down, just kind of go all the way, just really give your DPS 2 shots at it.
We got 2 very different looks from Mercy players when they use Valkyrie. One of them, as we've just discussed, is using it preemptively and trying to, you know, support a dive and give that extra healing. And of course, you got the mobility to almost follow your divers in as Mercy, because she's impossible to hit, but it's another story. And there's obviously the other way of playing it, which is obviously just kind of using it for the 2 reses and using it just in response to getting players picked off.
And we use it in response. You know, you have to come down, right? You're Valkyrie, you come down right away. The team knows where you're at. When you can use it to engage, what I liked when we saw from Philadelphia yet again is that they come in with this Mercy, and you want to get the Mercy out of the sky, right? You know how much healing or damage, and then the double res, you know how powerful she is. But you can't really focus her up in the sky because you have a full team effort coming at you right away. And then every kill you get on the ground just gets res right back up. There's so much healing for everybody else. So I really liked how it almost protected the Mercy to use it more in an offensive approach.
Stay with the rest of the team quite often. Safety in numbers is definitely a principle that carries over to Overwatch. And now we're going to be jumping in to our last map of this series, potentially. Of course, if the Boston Uprising can't bring it back, we have ourselves another 5-mapper, I'll be giddy. But we'll wait. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's going to be the Boston Uprising on the attack.
It'll be another defensive Pharah on this map, so we have been seeing a ton of defensive Pharah here on Eichenwald. Counter the opposing team's Pharah and also put some damage as the opponents walk through the choke.
Casper, friendly Pharah, already taken to the skies and looking just to try and punish here a little bit. Once he gets close enough to the enemy Pharah, oh, that was, oh man, okay. That was an incredibly long-range shot in terms of Pharah v Pharah matchups, and Casper had that down to a pinpoint. Almost a slight smirk on his face, but there's work to be done now. Again, there's one Baby Bay, 1. Looking for a second, he's got it at pretty much point-blank range, but that'll do the job. You can see the tank trying to go for the res, but he's being chased in. Striker's found him, so no chance to bring back that player at all. The Pharah's going to be off. And now Dream Casper gets to rule the roost once again. Plenty of freedom now for him. Gumsu being brought back by Kellex. Very clean push, and definitely when you have a player like Dream Casper who can open up opportunities like that, getting the pick on that enemy Pharah, it's golden.
Yeah, as soon as your Pharah falls on the defensive side of things, you have to be so worried about a player like Dream Casper in the sky that it allows Striker to just kind of run on in and finish off your support. So Baby Bay actually goes over to Widowmaker, expecting the Pharah to keep coming into play. And
whoa!
Okay.
Neko from the low ground there, unloads. Yeah, that probably should be rezzed up here because I think the McCree is actually not the ideal response here too. Maybe he expected Baby Bay to still be on that Widowmaker. Sorry, on that Pharah, should I say, and bring out the McCree, but the McCree has a distinct disadvantage against Widowmaker, especially at these kind of extreme ranges.
At these ranges, and then just the height disadvantage that you're dealing with. I wonder if we'll see Dream Casper go over to Genji, right? You really just put a lot of pressure, go back to that dive for Boston, go up on the high ground. It'll be Boston getting 2 picks, though. It'll be Dream Casper taking out Doc and Dante. Baby Bay will fall at the hands of Gumsu, and the payload just keeps on moving here for the Boston Uprising.
So perhaps, you know, it's not about picking the McCree to deal with the enemy Widowmaker, about deal with the Tracer, and obviously sort of punish that Mercy in a position there as well. Sleepy, wow, I'll tell you what, the right clicks from both of these Zenyatta players have just been absolutely mercurial so far in this match. Baby Bay opens up the fight though, or at least he was part of it. Pick on towards Gumsu, and this is going to force now the reses out of Kellex here, trying to get his team back. Duck is going to respond in kind. Both Mercies using those Valkyries. And Casper, what is he looking for here? A Deadeye? sure who's going to find here. Oh, Baby Bay punishes him there. That is a bit of a cocky move.
Still have Kellex in Valkyrie form here. Dak, as soon as he used it, actually fell there. So San Fran, pretty fortunate. They're able to win this fight even after they didn't get a great use of their Valkyrie. So the beat Boston having to back out here. Kalios, always ideal situation here. So no, there you go. Dante just finishes him off before he can jump off the side of the map. So all kind of have the same effect. He'll have to go back to the spawn, get a new mech back. Sleepy will have Transcendence for this next fight. And Dante will have a Pulse Bomb. On the side of the Boston Uprising, you're going to have your own Pulse Bomb, you're going to have a Primal Rage, and you're going to have a Self-Destruct. Remember a game during the preseason. Oh! Yeah, the preseason doesn't really matter anymore. Baby Bay's going ham. But I was going to say, remember in the preseason, Gamsu had that sick play using Primal Rage, gets down to 2 HP, knocks some players off the map on this map towards this kind of stage of the map. So we know he's effective with that ultimate at this stage of the game.
Again, it's tough for the tanks of the Boston Uprising to get access to Baby Bay right now. He's diagonally a long way away from them here, and they're going to try and break line of sight while they get closer to this very important Widow core of the composition for the San Francisco Shock. They seem to have done so, but Baby Bay can always back away. Note, he has his grappling hook off cooldown. He can use it as he gets knocked around. Now, the Primal Rage of the Winston's not enough to force it out of him, but this could be nasty. Self-destruct in. Dak and Baby Bay both down, and this could be the opening the Uprising are looking for. It's so hard, Matt, to escape those self-destructs on that bridge.
Yeah, it's just so wide open, and then especially when you have the enemy Winston just kind of knocking you into the open, preventing you to go out. Such a great ultimate combination there from the Boston Uprising. The Primal Rage forcing people out onto the bridge and using that self-destruct. Dreamcasper will have this Deadeye. He's setting up on the bridge with it. He's not going to be up on the high ground. You have Striker here with a Pulse Bomb. Will San Francisco come out and challenge? They will, and it looks like you're going to see Valkyrie used from both sides. So San Francisco going to come out with Valkyrie. If Dreamcasper here using the Deadeye, he's able to get one.
So much value though on picking off a Winston there. Nomi going down was relatively close as well to that Primal Rage, but just getting 500 HP worth of value in terms of one Deadeye absolutely take the single man kill. And Dreamcasper staying safe. Now he decides to come forward. He knows he can do that. Fan hammer, chaotic. The bullets flying everywhere, but it manages to control the recoil enough to finish off the Tracer. And now the Primal Rage being employed to the point Nomi is back and trying to use it to stall, but he's on his own. Discord Orb there, Flash to follow up. And they're still contested though. You can see that Nevix manages to make his way back to Disu Kalios. But that's going to be it now. And Dreamcastle wants to press forward. Dak better be careful. The damage is there. Baby Bay could be in a compromising position. There was nowhere else he could have gone. He was out of position. They caught him on a split spawn, and Casper, all he needed was a couple shots to finish.
Yeah, Baby Bay gets that front spawn. You can't even really fault him for that, right? I mean, there's nowhere he can go. Yeah, it's kind of like when you get split spawn on Gibraltar. So we'll see Nomi play Reinhardt, so they'll go Reinhardt Zarya here with Junkrat the later portion of the game. Now it's going to be very difficult for Dreamcasper to get anything going. He's going to be just shooting into this Reinhardt shield unless you see Striker connect with a Pulse Bomb. Takes out Nomi right away. Baby Bay connecting on Gamsu though with a Deadeye. Kellex will bring Gamsu right back into the action. The kills here going in favor of Boston. That's going to be 4 kills in favor of the Boston Uprising as they're moving the payload pretty quick here through the last stage of the match.
I know no one cares about Striker. For some reason, he's out there being a homecoming queen and no one's there to stop him. First the Pulse Bomb, then the second follow-up kill. The San Francisco Shock get pushed back down into the corridors and not allowed to play the game on that last point really at all. That was very convincing. One has to think that the Boston Uprising were more than ready to deal with that Reinhardt-based composition on the last stage of the map.
Well, they didn't even really have a chance to put a great effort, San Francisco, with that Reinhardt comp because Baby Bay gets killed. Then they kind of come around the corner and Striker hits Nomi with a Pulse Bomb. They never actually kind of get set up. Like at that point in the game, like there are so many kills going in favor of the Boston Uprising, so much staggering going down. They're never able to get another good team fight. Did the San Francisco Shock.
Look at this for a back and forth series. Again, a victory here for the Boston Uprising will take us to our 5th and final map. It would be Lijiang Tower. And Dak, we're searching for answers right now. It does seem a little bit quiet on the side of the San Francisco Shock. Perhaps they just know that they need to get the map done before they can start thinking about anything else.
I wonder what San Francisco Shock decide to run on offense. Do you have Baby Bay play a Pharah here? Do you go with a dive with a Genji Tracer? Do you keep him on McCree here, going to combat Dreamcasper, who will be playing Pharah on defense?
Not falling for it this time. San Francisco Shock are on the attacking side and Boston are defending, so bear that in mind.
There is still time for them to change.
Change sides?
No, change comp.
No, I mean, I didn't want to go.
San Francisco's going to opt to go back on the defensive side of things here. No, that's not a thing. I wonder if we see Baby Bay, get into some trouble here, because if you run the McCree into the Pharah on the opposing side, in that previous series that we casted, where they just kind of played around that middle statue there, where you see Gamsu set up, it's very difficult to get any shots into that Pharah.
All right, guys. As we come into this one again, San Francisco on the attack. Boston Uprising defending with that defensive Pharah we're starting to see. So we've been talking about that a lot, Matt. It's just interesting to see how that's being brought in, as you sort of already described and explained. But that does kind of make him vulnerable. You mentioned that Baby Bay, that McCree will be pressuring out the Pharah. Now on the attack, San Francisco are pressing forward here. And Dreamcast was already taking a couple shots. That's going to keep him honest.
Yeah, it'll be San Francisco on offense. They push on through. See Baby Bay trying to connect with Kellex up in the sky, then he puts a shot into Dreamcaster, so you get the Mercy low, force her down. You see now the push coming in right on top of Baby Bay, gonna force him to back out.
Baby Bay just pulling back for a moment here. The rest of his team obviously unsuccessful in that first push. And you can see Baby Bay is trying to chunk down Dreamcasper as quickly as he possibly can. That's a very late kill on Sleepy. That's gonna be another 3 seconds before he is back. Again, we talked about this, I think that first time we watched the Shanghai Dragons play, probably against the Seoul Dynasty, we saw that Undead was being pressured. He was playing McCree, which is technically correct, into a team that's boasting a Pharah. But the Tracer gave Undead so many problems that he had 2 targets to deal with, both that he was technically accounted to. But juggling both of those priorities at once is so hard.
Something interesting on the Boston defense, they're not running the Zenyatta. So Zenyatta Mercy seems to be kind of the flavor in terms of supports. They're actually going to be running Lucio here as Dante gets Kellex low. Now he's going to drop a pulse bomb onto Kalios. Kalios going to get debacked here.
You see Kalios a very quick veer left to make sure no one else was affected by that pulse bomb. That's a good opening here though, with Dreamcasper now falling to Nevix. It's going to be reses galore here for Kellex to try and get his team back on their feet. He's obviously used his Valkyrie, as has Dak. Slower push here for San Francisco. They're not confident going forward yet. Those reses now start coming out. Sleepy's back, but Baby Bay is left upon once again. He's not getting the space that he needs to be super effective on this McCree right now, and it shows.
And you would think that with the San Francisco Shock having this Zenyatta on their side, with the Discord orbs, you'd be able to just put down so much more damage than the side of the Boston Uprising. Zenyatta provides so much utility in that regard. They've been able to just work down these tanks a little bit better, but not able to do so thus far. Baby Bay does have a Deadeye. It's great to get the Pharah in the Mercy out of the sky if you can catch him sleeping a little bit. See how they decide to use this. You just see how much damage Dreamcast is getting just going through this choke. So they're going to use the Deadeye. They're going to engage as well.
That's clever. It looked like Nomin was going in to try and knock people into the Deadeye. But Baby Bay, I guess, didn't quite have the little happy red skulls I think that he was looking for. Regardless, he's still going to find Gamsu after the fact now, and Striker needs to really start to run a riot. The Pulse Bomb might be the first step. He's looking for Sleepy. Oh, he just slaps him. Doesn't even need the bomb for that one. Save it for a rainy day. Speaking of rainy day, the barrage already came down. Dak picked apart by it. No mercy for San Francisco Shock in both senses of the term. And now it's going to be the dust clearing once again. Boston looking pretty good. Baby Bay, that's a good kill, but it's not going to be enough to win this out. Gamsu and Neko are still there. It's going to, at the very least, defer this push. And now with Gamsu isolating the McCree, that will be the end of that push.
And San Francisco's trying to keep this push going because they know that they have 2 members from the side of the Boston Uprising coming off the spawn, but those 2 players are back. You're going to have Kalios and Striker getting back into the action here for the Boston Uprising. Kellex will have his Valkyrie in this next fight. Sleepy still with this Transcendence. And Baby Bay now with another Jetta. Just how does San Francisco play around these ultimates to break this hold?
It's a quick Deadeye, I'll be honest with you. Dreamcasper staying out of line of sight. Can't peek now because the Deadeye is in play. But again, there's no mechanics on the side of San Francisco to force Boston out into the open to suffer the wrath of the McCree, so no one is felled. Dante down there as well. He just walked into a rocket. Dak's gonna go for the res immediately now. Both sides. Going for that Valkyrie now. Nomi pushed back for a moment here. Heads to the sky, and now Casper's getting into the danger zone here. Getting a bit too close to Baby Bay, perhaps, for his own good. He's going to have to save his skin if he's not careful. Could be in the barrage here. No! It's shut down! Flown straight into. Great response by Nevix. He gets de-suited, but it may have been worth it. Casper now, he's back up on his feet, Matt. Nevix down. Neko's going to get the better of Baby Bay here, and it looks like overtime to be ticking down. Boston have control, but Sleepy's not done yet. Getting healed up the whole time by Dak. 1 tick and 2 ticks here. San Francisco might be on the run.
Yeah, they lose Neko though as he's getting close to his sound barrier here. Striker on the point, just trying to stay alive for the Boston Uprising. Here, Resurrection coming in. It's going to be Dak bringing Sleepy back into the equation. Sleepy will take out Kalios. Still have to deal with Dream Casper though, as Baby has gone over to the Soldier 76.
Yep, get that extra speed, more pressure for Dream Casper as well. Nevix takes him down the second time in a row. Gamsu now also getting hammered on. It's going to be San Francisco to push forward. It's contested, but it's a 1v4 situation. They get it done at the death of it. Talk about keeping yourselves afloat. San Francisco at least get to play the other 2/3 of this map, but it doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows for them. Only 2 minutes and 15 to get to the gate of the castle.
I wonder if we see the Boston Uprising on defense get very aggressive and dive down upon San Francisco Shock. You can force them to use some of their ults because they only have 2 minutes to go the entire length to get to that point B checkpoint, and oh, that's a huge kill. They actually lose Kelix right at the beginning, and here they come. They're going to get aggressive, but now that you know the other team doesn't have that mercy, you don't really have to use a ton of these ults. Maybe they will use attack visor heal. Here gets taken out by Dream Casper.
He is not happy at all. Something went wrong for him there. Casper jumped upon him. Probably need to see a switch away from the 76 if Baby Bay wants to be as effective as possible. They've only got a minute 38 to go. I mean, there are so many looks here, but again, you could go back to that McCree. You could go for a Widow if you're not afraid of getting jumped on, and there it is. Baby Bay switching now, and you know he's thinking it's time to make a play.
And you see the position that Gamsu is set up in. What they can do is he can jump over the top. You can have Striker go around that building, and you can come out a little bit of a flank here with the Zymers. That's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to go over the top. They have Striker coming in here with Dream Casper as well. It's a beautiful flank that comes in from the Boston Uprising.
Sorry, a bit of a gasp there. It's maybe overly theatrical, but he did force the Transcendence out of Sleepy. That's now expired, and Gamsu was looking to maybe just make quick work of the Omnic Monk with his Primal Rage, but he realized he was running a little bit out of gas. He didn't have the teammates with him. A minute. This is good stall from Boston, though. Even if they're losing these fights, they're able to really strip valuable seconds off the clock, force San Francisco to use these ultimates as they are now.
Yeah, I mean, Nomi's used Primal Rage. He used a self-destruct here. They do not have a Transcendence. Dak has Valkyrie. Dante has a Pulse Bomb. For Boston, you do have both of your support ults here. You do have a Dragon Blade.
This position is so strong. If Boston want to try and get rid of Baby Bay, the safest bet is to play a Widowmaker of their own, which they're not going to do because Dream Casper has his blade. But trying to access the Widow here,
He's
you're going to
so
take so
far
much
away.
damage. It's almost impossible. This is the best place on this map, in my opinion, for it.
Are they going to challenge the car?
Just.
Okay, barely.
Now it's going to be Kalios jumping on. Dante blows himself up with a Pulse Bomb, if I'm not mistaken. Not the start that San Francisco were looking for, but Dak's going to be there to help him up like the big brother he is to this team. Casper down. He had the Dragon Blade. It's going to be denied away from him. Kelix now reaching into his pocket for a Resurrect with that Valkyrie. Baby Bay can still kill people through that Transcendence. The burst damage of Widow is still scary. Kelix is a one hit. He needs one more shot. Kelix, no, it's Neko to shut him down. Boston Uprising, the door is closing in the face of the San Francisco Shock. There's got to be a response, but it is only Dark now. He is down, Dante to fall, and the wick is done. And the Boston Uprising make it a 2-2 series, and we are going all the way.
2 Game 5s today. First game of the day, last game of the day. Boston will hold on defense there, putting up a tremendous effort on the first point, right? It was so difficult for San Francisco even to take point A, that even when they did take point A, they didn't have a lot of time to work through. Yeah, I mean, 2 minutes is not a ton of time to work all the way down towards the entrance of the castle. It's great defense from Boston.
All right, we're going to be heading, of course, onto a 5th map following this one. Even as San Fran got that second point, it would have been tough to finish the map, but they brought it back. They've got that grit. That's what we want to see from these teams. A bit of moxie goes a heck of a long way in the Overwatch League, and it's time to see it on display in our final map. It's going to be Lijiang Tower coming right at you around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP and by Intel.
On paper, coming into this match, both of these teams have very similar records of 1 and 2. The difference is, of course, that Boston had a rough road throughout the early part of this week. But now these two come to a head. Both of, the forging of these two teams throughout the Overwatch League has produced this result. It's 2 and 2. We're heading to Lijiang Tower.
And you can see the potential from these two teams, when they are clicking on all cylinders. Boston's dives didn't look great on Oasis. They come back there on Eichenwald and they looked really good. The coordination was there on that map. San Francisco Shock, you're playing around Baby Bay, sitting all the way back on that Widowmaker. He's hitting the shots. You just got to have some other people clean up some kills there at the end.
I mean, on the other hand, you saw the stats at the halftime break, 42 and 4 eliminations to deaths for Striker. That's astounding. That's a heck of a lot of legwork being done. 4 deaths.
Yeah, the map. And we were talking, you don't really see these two Tracer players going at each other, right? Save Hill B, when he plays Tracer for NYXL, he really kind of hunt down the other team's Tracer. He's a great Tracer counter player. These two Tracers in this game, Striker on the side of the Boston Uprising and Dante on the side of the San Francisco Shock, they're really putting an effort on getting the other tanks. We see all the time the pulse bombs going on to the divas. You get that diva out of the Mac. She loses a ton of firepower, obviously. The defense matrix, a huge utility tool for diva players. You see that's where the real emphasis is from these Tracer players.
We saw how Control went earlier on the series, Oasis. Now, it was a different map, by the way. We almost attempted to use the transitive property of winning on the Control archetype in our match between the Valiant, of course, and the Spitfire, and it didn't work out because the Spitfire came up and won this map convincingly. So we can almost treat this as like a clean slate. And again, teams do practice this particular map in scrims, but it's definitely not the one that they sort of nail out the most. I've seen it in quite a few blocks come up. But if we open up here, we're going to Night Market, by the way. Again, the double Pharah match-off would be a treat to see once again.
I think kind of an issue, not really an issue, it's kind of like a nice luxury to have. Your Boston Uprising is what do you play Dreamcast on a map like this, right? There's so many different heroes he plays. It's
spoiled for choice,
yeah,
I believe.
you're kind of spoiled in the fact that you come out with so many different looks. It's which one do you finally decide on? It'll be Pharah for both teams.
We get that matchup, which is going to be interesting when it comes to the point fight. Pharah has to give away a lot of her safety when she wants to interact directly with the fight on the point, but Striker goes down already. He's picked off on the periphery by Baby Bay, who made his way around the outside. Just got a couple of those rockets in to finish those kills, and look at this. How comfortable do you have to feel right now as Baby Bay? Got a lot of space. You know where the enemy Pharah is, you know where the enemy Mercy is, and they're going to be in the bin! That's where they're going to be! A good response. Dream Casper brings it back now, and Baby Bay is punished there for his overconfidence in going in. Perhaps just killed enemy Pharah first.
And Dak go off the map there.
No, Neko's just taking it apart.
Double Lucio boot coming on through there.
What is this game?
For the Boston Uprising. As now it'll be Boston taking the point. San Francisco never actually even took the point, right? They got so aggressive trying to force players back. As soon as Baby Bay fell.
Yeah, I mean, Baby Bay's out there still dabbing, deciding which stud he's going to wear today in his ears. And all of a sudden, the Boston Uprising managed to come back. It's so funny how you have a preconceived idea of how a fight's going to go, and then it completely gets turned on your face. Baby Bay, that's it! The revenge is so sweet for Casper. He gets his second kill of that fight. This time he keeps his Mercy alive. Nevix isn't able to get close enough to damage Dream Casper with his own Barrage reflection, but he still manages to block most of it. But Nomi falls. This is now Boston Uprising starting to build up ahead of steam.
And Dante goes onto the point, and he's just chased out by Striker. Preventing any type of back cap situation here.
He's freaking laughing. He's smiling. He's having a great time.
Striker with a pulse bomb. See what he decides to do with it. I'll look to see him kind of target Nevix with that pulse bomb. Baby Bay getting close to his own rocket barrage. Both support ults going to come online here for the San Francisco Shock as well.
Nomi getting bursted down now as well. Forced to go for the Primal Rage because he wants to be a part of this fight, and San Francisco need him to. Neko down early, but rezzed out by Kellex. A reasonable decision, especially with Neko being able to give a healing and speed boost to the rest of his team. But those heals are done now, but it's worked out. It's been helping Boston to weather the storm of the Shock players coming in. Now they can fight back, but Sleepy has some reses of his own. Kalios was taken down by Nevix, but brought back, and now Nomi's back on his feet as well. This could be a longer fight. You can see that San Francisco haven't quite got inside yet.
Well, you lost Dak, which would have been great after you use that res. Then you use the sound barrier and really start to push through. If you're the San Francisco Shock, it's just that second support ult you don't have at your disposal. San Francisco still extending this fight, though. Dreamcaster on the point, very difficult for Pharah to be in. Gamsu's able to get to. Now you see Dak use that sound barrier. He connects with two of his teammates.
Look at Gamsu just sticking to his targets there. He managed to get 3 kill completions in the end there. You know, tempts fate going over the edge. Neko, can you come back from this? That's the question. I'm pretty sure you can. But no, he's being pressured by Nevix. It's not going to be enough, though, with Neko, the Houdini. Oh, perhaps this match gets himself alive, stays around, and then Boston need him right now. It's important, 99 to 0%. Could be the shutout they're looking for, and San Francisco might be done and dusted after that display. 2 kills from the barrage of Dream. Casper patience pays dividends for Pharamains. And now Dak is going to fall. The wick burning down, and I don't see any shock players within the vicinity. Nope. It's going to be Boston starting off this tiebreaker very well.
San Francisco invested heavily into that one fight when they had the Valkyrie. They just were not able to use that sound barrier to really give them the extra sustain on the point. They end up coming back with the sound barrier. They have to kind of use it at that point because it's like 96% and counting for the Boston Uprising. I believe it connects, obviously, with Dak himself, Sleepy, who's playing the Mercy in that situation, and Dante as well. So they connected on the 3 players. It's just not enough to keep them alive on the point.
That's Kelix's happy face, for those that are wondering. Trust me, you should see a sad face. One more round to come now, potentially. Or will the Shock bring it all the way again? I mean, their control was very, very good, but it seemed like the Pharah v Pharah did not favor them much in that previous round.
As we go into the next point, this is the best one for your Reinhardt Zarya combinations. Watch Kalios on the Zarya. That is probably his best hero. He's playing the Diva as the off-tank role, but his Zarya is really something special.
Keep an eye on that ult percentage as well. Look how aggressive this is for the Uprising. Kelix is speed boosting him all on top of the Shock. And San Francisco are desperately trying to get away, but they are able to back up. Kalios gets caught a little bit behind the rest of his team, and Baby Bay punishes him there with a headshot to finish. Neko, I mean, 80%, close to that coalescence, getting real close here. Damage he's getting, and he's not really being noticed doing though. It's gonna be a flash in the back. And more than a flash in the pan, the San Francisco Shock now gonna try and take control themselves.
I think Boston will back out from this fight. Dream Casper running on out. Dream Casper just showing off now. He's running the Diva here for the Boston Uprising. He's played so many heroes, I'm not even sure if we've seen this from him yet. As it'll be San Francisco Shock taking the point. Here's going to be the Coalescence coming in. The Riptire from Dante as well gets taken out by that Coalescence.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't show up on the feed, but we can assume it at least exploded for whatever reason. Striker there, Pulse Bomb. Will be Dante that he's looking for at this stage. A bit of damage will do the job, but that's a stick. No, just over the head of Dante. Close, but no cigar. And Kalios goes down first in this fight yet again. We talk him up a fair bit. We know he's an incredibly good Zarya, but so far he's been the first target removed.
Yeah, maybe a little bit over-aggressive. And also, I mean, you get Zarya out of the equation when you have Junkrat on your team, then you can just kind of spam as you please, right? The only thing you're really worried about is feeding that Zarya, getting her charged up when you're playing Junkrat.
The problem is, as a Zarya, sometimes if you walk into a fight with your personal shield up, it's hard to get a feeling for the amount of damage you're going to be taking once the bubble is expired. You kind of get a feel from how fast the energy's ticking up, but you can only get, you know, a certain amount, maximum of energy per bubble. You can't go from 0 to 101. So when the bubble expires, sometimes you get burst down faster than you're expecting.
Boston will have both support ults in this next fight. You're going to get very close to a grab. You also have Earth Shatter. They're going to enter with that sound barrier, though. The Lucio ult leading the charge. Be Coalescence as well. Baby Bay trying to find some targets here with the Deadeye. Gets flanked by Striker. One clip there. Dante uses his Riptire. Doesn't connect with anything.
And Nomi finds Dream Casper though at the very least, but now he'll probably drop down. Dak, again, also just going to hang around to try and stall out. You can see that Kalios has got a lot of energy, right? So this man has been blocking a heck of a lot of damage. But Neko's in there, D-suit on Nevix. San Francisco looking very good to make this into a third round, though. One more fight and they should be good as gold. Double support ultimates. If it goes wrong for them, I'd be very surprised. They've got exactly what they need there.
Well, San Francisco doesn't want to use any of the support ultimates in the last fight because the grab is not used here from Kalios. So you're saving either, you know, a Transcendence for that grab, maybe even, you know, your Valkyrie, just get the rest come on right back through. So Boston doesn't really have anything to combo. You know, you would have liked the Pulse Bomb. Oh, they're gonna lose Dante at the beginning of the fight here. Oh, they're gonna use Valkyrie here, bring him back to life, and oh, they connect on the grab up top. Nice Winston bubble there from Nomi, able to keep everybody up.
Plus, don't forget, with everyone so close together, at that point, Dak's able to heal everyone on his team at the same time with that Valkyrie Caduceus staff. So of course, there wasn't too much that Kalios could have done there. Interesting use of the grab. Not sure I agree, but that's fine. Now it's going to be Riptire in, Neko and Kellex both down, and Dante's done an excellent job of finding both support players on the Boston Uprising and dispatching them pretty comfortably.
I like the idea of the grab because you know Mercy is up there in Valkyrie. It's such a strong ult. You want to get her out of that. It's a great play to have that Winston bubble, protect everybody up inside of it. And there wasn't really anything they had that could do a great follow-up right through there. I mean, you don't have like a 76 who can shoot from that range, you know, floor to the ceiling.
Plus, that your line of sight is kind of obscured by the platform itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, the bubble and the platform, right? Yeah, the platform blocks so much when you're shooting from down to up.
Baby Bay looking for something special with this Deadeye and might just Didn't want to go up the top and use the solo Q strap, but he's going to back around. Maybe even flank on this. He's looking to win the game right here, Matt. But Nomi, this is where we need to be watching in the meantime, because Dunte and Sleepy are already down. It's time for Baby Bay to get involved. He's found one, that's two now, evening the score up as much as he possibly can. Still more to be done. Flash connects, Gamsu low, defense matrix from behind. Baby Bay, somehow the day is saved there by Dream Casper. He protects his other tanks from Baby Bay's onslaught. And it's going to put Boston Uprising back in the seat. We didn't see Dream Casper, but we saw the matrix from behind Baby Bay.
And that is a defense matrix from somebody who does not play off tank. Like, that is somebody who just got onto this hero here to play this triple tank composition. Extremely impressive out of Dreamcaster yet again. I mean, the guy just shows up consistently. Now they have a grab to combo with this pulse bomb. Look at the position. Oh, and they're going to engage with Valk. If you can get Dak caught up in this grab, you're going to have something huge here.
Looking for the bomb, but they only caught Baby Bay there as well. So Striker curbs his enthusiasm, doesn't get ahead of himself now, and he forces the Transcendence out of Sleepy. Earthshatter comes in, this could be hurting as well! The Transcendence doesn't protect you against burst damage, and Baby Bay didn't have the HP pool to withstand the pulse bomb being dropped on him now. Striker back again, his Reinhardt tanks in the middle of the map, and he's trying to use Gamsu's shield as much as he can as he dashes back and forth through it, but he's taken very low now. And Gamsu's forced to sit in the corner and wait for the rest of his team to join. They're back now. Again, some Earthshatter charge wouldn't hurt if he swings the hammer for a little bit, but Baby Bay's also returned and dealt with Striker. It's an overtime, it's a 99 map. This is San Francisco trying to stay alive in this one, and Nevix might have given him the lifeline they were looking for. Gets rid of Dream Casper and Calyx. No one on the point so far, and we're going to a third map here. It couldn't go any further than this. And this tiebreaker now goes to a tiebreaker round.
And Nevix kills Calyx there as soon as he gets sound barrier. Just trying to run around that center pole, ride the walls as Lucio. He eventually falls. You have sound barrier in that, and you had two other players coming off of respawn. Potentially you connect with like a 3-person sound barrier. Maybe you're able to stay alive a little bit longer. Two big kills by Nevix though switches the point into San Francisco's favor, forcing the final point here on Lijiang Tower.
Nevix, truly the definition of quiet achiever. You know, he's won multiple championships on teams such as Misfits, and he started off as a Mercy player for his team. Then he became one of the best Genji players, the projectile DPSs in Europe. Now playing flex tank on the San Francisco show. Talk about Dream Casper doing it all. Nevix is keeping up with him just as well.
It's always something they can have in their back pocket, you know, bring him out on the Genji run like a triple DPS combination.
I'm so excited, dude. Be a throwback to the old days.
So you see the Forest just trying to get ground damage here. Baby Bay really hasn't looked up Dreamcaster at all in the sky. He gets Kalios really weak here, and then just tries to get Calyx off of the map there with a concussive blast. And we do have a pause here. Find out what's going on for you guys in just a bit.
Yeah, of all the times to pause a game, that would maybe not be the most ideal one, but wow, we got back on screen and that's what we hear. I'm sorry, fam.
Listen, they want to see the game. I want to see the game too.
That's right. We could fly across the crowd if you really prefer that way. I know I'm not wearing this ridiculous shirt, but we saw a lot of damage coming from Baby Bay in the first part of that fight, and we can see it kind of starting to go against the San Francisco Shock. We do need to see from the Pharah Tracer composition, the Tracer follow up and finish on those kills.
Yeah, I believe just looking at the top-down screen I have here, everybody's up. It looks like Gamsu coming back into the fight for Boston. So you have everybody just kind of positioned on that far side from the point, not the interior, out in the open, and that's going to allow both Fars to be able to put down a ton of damage really on the Tracers to finish off these kills.
So we're seeing a lot more Lucio in some of these maps, especially these control ones, and it's exciting. It's a little bit of a different brand. We've even seen some teams run the Lucio without the Pharah. But what is the importance of this?
Oh, well, you need the Lucio speed boost here on control to really get to those areas of the map. You want to obviously you want to control the point. That's obvious. You need the point to win, but there's definitely parts of the map that you want to control, and to use that speed boost to get there first and set up. That's really what you want that Lucio in your squad.
Does it hurt you though? I mean, are there any let's say you do run this Lucio and you're going up against a team that doesn't run one, they're sort of playing that centered Zen sort of Mercy composition. How do you see that interacting?
Well, I mean, the Zen provides so much extra damage in terms of Discord, right? And then you're able to heal your Tracer or Genji from afar with the Harmony Orb, that you lose that utility, and then Transcendence is a great ultimate ability to come on through. Sound Barrier, we see it time to time. You don't connect with everybody. You connect with 2-3 players. It's very difficult to kind of gauge when to use a Sound Barrier as opposed to a Transcendence. So I think that's really the trade-off you see. I think it's just more damage on the side of the teams that have the Zen, obviously, and then you get that speed early control with the Lucio first.
Now, we're not being told exactly what the pause is for, ladies and gentlemen. Normally, that would be information that we'd relay directly to you instead of standing here talking about stuff, but that is the way that it goes. We're going to be jumping back into the game here. So, all right, we got a bit of FaceTime, probably more than I needed or ever wanted. but we're back in the game.
Yes, and this is game 5, just to reset expectations here. See a few kills here going in favor of the San Francisco Shock. It'll force back the Boston Uprising. I see Nico stay on the map there. And Nico and Dak, you know, 2 Lucios with some fantastic movement.
Yeah, Dak was kind of that player that was sort of, in fact, he claims that he was the first Lucio to really get hog wild with, you know, his positioning and flying up in the air and, you know, wall riding. Some people say DSP Stanky. I don't really care because it's fun to see, but Dak definitely thinks it was him. Let's see though. Dak gonna come in with a sound barrier. That boop, no, won't quite get the Winston off the edge, but definitely gonna force him back. Pulse Bomb needs to be respected though, and that one was delivered there by Striker, who's had an incredible match. He de-suits Nevix, but now, without the Divas in play, it's time for barrages all in sundry. Casper cut down, but Dak was the one who got the extra kill, a bit of damage on the end of it. San Francisco start this real strong map. We just saw a brace of ultimates committed from the Uprising to no avail.
Yeah, we saw both Divas get demeched at the beginning of that fight. But it was San Francisco Shock who come out on top. Dream Casper uses his Rocket Barrage, doesn't really get much with it. Makes himself an easy target for Baby Bay up in the sky.
Oh, he saved the Concussive Blast. That could have been nasty.
Saves it when the defense matrix is down, right? You don't want the defense matrix to eat it on up. Knows Kalios is weak on the defense matrix, then uses the Rocket Barrage.
Oh, knows he probably couldn't even have used it yet, so that's nicely done. Finds Kalios, but still, Nomi's fallen down, and Kalios was resurrected anyway. So Baby Bay now, there's a little bit more to do. Needs to shoulder the pickaxe and get back to work. Nomi res now, Kalios once again de-suited. This time, it's done. This time, it's over for him at least. Okay, no, I'm wrong. He's gonna get resed again, you know? That's fine. Do whatever you want. Casper there gets Nomi knocked off the edge. Nevix now brought back. A lot of Mercy reses in this fight, but San Francisco Shock retain control of the point. Calix down. This might be the opening here. How is Casper gonna take the point on his own? Dante's not gonna let him in. Shuts the door in his face. And this is the last chance Boston are gonna have to take this match away in the final stage of the final round.
All they're going to have is a self-destruct here. Kalios just gets it. Dream Casper will stay on the Pharah here in this type of situation. 95% and counting. It's going to be on Striker to get to the point, which he does.
Baby Bay would love the Concussive Blast right now. It's another few seconds away. Oh, he sees the top of the front. How is he going to get away from that? He just gets outside the full damage. Blast Ray needs to stay alive. Very clever play, but it's going to take more. Dante's down. There's going to be no Mercy Valkyries in this fight, and it's too dangerous to res those targets on the ground normally. Casper takes one rocket. There needed to be another one there from Baby Bay to complete, and Nevix gets de-suited. Kalios finds Dak, gets him with a boop there, and Nomi trying to stay alive on the point where the rest of his team was already absconded. He will have to join them.
So he uses Primal Rage there, and you use a Pulse Bomb for the San Francisco Shock. You still have a lot of time to make this happen. You're going to have a Valkyrie here coming up shortly. You do have a Rocket Barrage. Rocket Barrage so dangerous in that close quarter area here on the point, right? You can end up just blowing yourself up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dangerous to yourself. So it'll be both support ults here for the Boston Uprising. Gamsu takes out Doc at the beginning. That's a huge kill here. Nevix, he'll get demacked, and you're going to have the sound barrier that comes in for the Boston Uprising, and they use Valkyrie here.
Yeah, so basically ignore the kill feed until all the reses are done, and then we're going to get an accurate picture of this fight. And this might be the time now. With Nevix going down, San Francisco, again, a couple ultimates committed into this fight. No Pulse Bomb used yet, but Dark goes over the edge, and he decides that it's done. So again, both teams, yeah, going for those Mercy Valkyries in a fight that ultimately is lost. The difference is this. Sound barrier is available for Duck. Very, very important now, especially when they begin the fight. It's going to allow them to shrug off that initial damage, Matt. We're looking to see Dak really nail this one. San Francisco got to be patient.
Oh, he nails it. He connects with 5 players. He has Dante coming on the backside on a flank. Could not have been a better sound barrier here from Dak. It'll be the San Francisco Shock rolling onto the point. Gamsu uses Primal Rage, just trying to stay up here for Boston.
Dream Casper now as well. He's afraid to poke his head inside, and I don't blame him because the Shock now are really starting to fire up. Wow, Calix was low. Baby Bay gets 2 there with the barrage. That might be what they're looking for. Casper's trying to get in, desperately trying to make a difference somehow, but his rockets are finding their targets. Dante's trying to chase Striker off the edge, but it was just a ruse. He's going to be able to recall back and remain part of this fight. Everyone over the edge, though, all along the watchtower. Give them, somebody give him a life jacket. And now they're going to keep pushing him, but Nomi now starting to lift up. Kalios goes down, Gamsu falls to Baby Bay, and Dante's going to pulse bomb on the point. We're in overtime here, and you can see Neko wants to get back in, but he's going to get taken down. The Wick Birds, San Francisco Shock, you better believe they've done it! In overtime, map 5, round 3. And my God, they are pleased with that result. Coming in, a bit underrated, it's safe to say, Matt. But a strong start on that first map of Dorado, a strong finish, and that's in the series win.
Such a huge win for the San Francisco Shock. Both of these teams played great today, a back and forth series. And finally able to take it there at the end. Doc with a beautiful use of the sound barrier, connects with 5 of his teammates. He sent Dante on a flank early with a pulse bomb. A great strat there at the end from the San Francisco Shock.
Literally tit for tat rounds you saw as they came. Oasis was maybe not what we expected to see there from the Boston Uprising. The Shock had such an average start on that control map. I mean, they lost a Mercy to a concussive blast that had Dak knocked out into traffic, and it's really hard to come back from that so early. Even the mental aspect of it. San Francisco draw it 1 apiece on Lijiang Tower, and they start strong. They just had to have that bit of patience. Dak had to hit the sound barrier onto as many people as possible to start the fight well. They started well, and they finished just as good.
Yeah, and I thought Baby Bay at the end on map number 5 was great, playing the Pharah. It's a hero that he's been talking about, getting a little bit more comfortable on. He looked great on it there.
And after a start to the season that left many people questioning the San Francisco Shock, they now move to 2 wins and 2 losses here. The Boston Uprising continue what is definitely a bit of a yo-yo back and forth kind of season thus far, but it's only week 2. But now we're going to head down to the stage with a lovely Zoe to interview one of our favorites. It's Duck from San Francisco Shock.
Thank you so much, guys. Duck from the San Francisco Shock joined me. Congratulations. What a clutch game. I'm like still shaking all over my body. How are you feeling?
I'm keeping it cool. When I'm there, I try to keep it cool because we have a lot of people that are like super excited when they get on stage. So I try to be like the opposite of that, even though I want to be one of them, you know. But I have to balance it. So.
I mean, we do know you for yelling as loud as humanly possible. So I was kind of looking out for that. However, during the later half of that series, you turned very quiet. I didn't see much talking going on in your comms anymore. Who took the lead there?
Yeah. So you know, when things are not going like as planned, let's say, you know, we tend to like overreact, I think. And so what I try to do is quiet down so that we listen more to like other people. Because I'm playing Mercy a lot of the times, you know, if I don't need help, I don't need to actually, you know, take control, take charge. So I let them, you know, take charge so I don't clutter comms more. That's what I try to keep a balance. That's what I do. But if it's the opposite going on, where like maybe they're getting shut down and they're coming less, then I just do the opposite and just fight it.
Motivate, yeah, right. Fire it up a little bit, and you definitely did that towards the end of that series. Now, what was your general game plan going up against the Boston Uprising?
Well, we had a pretty good idea of what comes they run. Like for example, on a city center, on University, on Oasis, we knew exactly like they like to play 5. We used to screen them a lot. We used to like it was like our best screen partner pretty much. So we were running that comp a lot. And they started running it too, and we were like, we can play something else. So we know they liked it, so we pretty much started to counter-strat a little bit, and it worked pretty well.
All right, it certainly did. Now, you know, on the desk, the guys always give away the Player of the Match award. Great performances across the board from both of your teams, as if you're owning them, no. So both of the teams obviously performed absolutely fantastic on that stage just now. Who would you give the Player of the Match award to, and why?
Damn, I don't know. I'll give it to Nami. Yeah, I'll give it to Nami. Winston's players, you know, sometimes they don't get love, but like they create a lot of space and they help it, you know, the team perform pretty much.
So shout out to the supports. Dak, thank you so much for joining me. Can't wait to see you back on that stage with your team. And now we're heading over to the desk to break down all the action.
Thank you very much, Zoe, and thanks to Dak as well for really enlightening us. You know, this is always what you want to try and find out what's happening in the back line with these teams. Comms, we keep putting an emphasis on it. It's so important. I'm glad to hear that Dak has really thought out a process, how he handles the comms for his team and how he tries to have an impact there. I mean, you know, he is playing Mercy. He's got time to think about other things.
Yeah, cluttered comms is a huge issue a lot of the times. People just gonna get too excited and start just spewing out information that might not be very relevant. If you don't actually have anything to contribute, you let the guys that are in the middle of the action say what they need to say.
That's speaking from experience as well. This guy right here used to be a pro player, you know, in the game.
Teammates with Gamsu, actually.
Of course. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What? For real? Okay. How come you're diamond in Overwatch? What's going on?
You're plat, dude.
Yeah, okay. I got talk. Let's move it on. Let's move it on with Oasis. I want to talk about that map in particular, to be honest, because that was where Shock started to turn it around a little bit, to be honest, with their game plan, their overarching theme and what they were running. That was unfortunate. That wasn't him. That wasn't actually him as well. Yeah, he got booped back. But it seemed like Dreamcatcher was dominating to begin with, but Shock did manage to turn this one around quite significantly.
Yeah, I think that the Shock really recognized that they were going to have a little bit more success with a Lucio. They actually were just switching off to the Lucio for Dak, and it made a world of difference so often. Here in control, it didn't matter a whole lot, but on the final 2 points, it really made the difference when Dak switched over. And the ultimate timings and most importantly, keeping himself alive, I think is what made a big difference, because previously both supports from the San Francisco Shock were dying twice as much as the ones from Boston Uprising, obviously falling to the defense, rather the dive from the Boston Uprising. So I think that recognizing, okay, let's go with something a little easier to stay alive, more healing.
I see a little bit of a grin developing on Bren's face.
I'm already grinning because I'm grinning at me. Like, I started smiling. No, I just wanted to say, for me, it was Dante's Tracer, I feel like, in the control sections, at least, for Oasis in particular. I made a little note down. He must have been playing well if I did it. It seems like eons ago now that we saw that Oasis map. It was quite some time ago. But, yeah, Dante had an outstanding performance in general. And, yeah, I mean, it was mainly pinned down to that. They did show a lot of flexibility. I said in the halftime show I wanted to see more tank play. I wanted to see it cleaned up a little bit more. They definitely did that on Oasis, especially in the University.
So exactly, now we go into the last map of regulation before obviously getting into that 5th map that we just saw now. But, you know, a little bit fresher in the memory, boys. Eichenwald, that was the hybrid map, and that's where we really saw quite a fight on that second point. It seemed like that was where a lot of the action was happening. This first point, though, Dreamcasper again. He just seemed to stand out on this fair. It was unbelievable here at the beginning.
So I think what we get to see here is a cool development between the Pharah versus Pharah matchup, where this time around, obviously, Casper got the better of Baby Bay. But as the series progressed and we moved on to the 5th map, it ended up being, and we'll cover it then, but the Pharah matchup, I think, comes down to who's focusing the ground a little bit more. It's all about trying to make as much impact as possible. And, well, yeah, needless to say, I believe Baby Bay had a lot more impact.
No, Baby Bay.
We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, same thing, man. I wish that we could get a shot of that guy with the sign there. That is a fire sign. Baby Bay is the Bay's Bay. Why not? Obviously, the guy has such an impact for San Francisco Shock. But okay, let's move on to the last map. I think that's what is really fresh in everybody's mind. Exactly. Lijiang Tower. It really felt like it was going the distance there.
So, like you were saying, Crumbs, before, Lijiang Tower was the map where Baby Bay actually changed up his Pharah.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, so in the Pharah matchup, so many times you just want to see the air-to-air, who can actually hit one. But when it's Pharmacy, you're not going to actually hit those 3 rockets in a row. It's so unlikely. So it's almost always better to just try to have as big as impact on the entire team. So he just ignored the Pharah completely and went just straight up ground war, and it made a world of difference because the tanks were not able to survive nearly as long. And I think that this is a way to play the game that we saw, I think, from Flower, if I'm not mistaken, from the World Cup, where he was just shooting a couple rockets at the fire. Okay, I can't hit her anymore. Focus on the ground and just always trying to be bouncing back and forth between the target that is most likely to be hit, so that you increase your DPS massively.
Yeah, you're going for the high percentage shots, not really, you know, trying to go for the long one. I mean, Bren, you agree with his assessment?
Yeah, for sure. It was a great point to make, and we both sort of made mention to it while the game was going on. We noticed that shift in play style. If you know you're being outmatched in the Pharah v Pharah duels, if you're losing them, it's perfectly okay to just avoid the Pharah, not put as much emphasis on trying to bring him down and try and shut him down, and just sort of put in that consistent damage, because that's what's going to win you the team fights on the ground. That's what San Fran did, and they ended up working out very well for them, because obviously they won the match, you know, very happy for them, and they showed up quite significantly. Wonderful point. Thank you.
Yeah. Good job, Brad.
Okay.
Let's just go ahead and look at some replays now for Lijiang Tower.
I'd love to.
Bit of the action, reliving the moments. I mean, Baby Bay, you could see he was certainly having an impact for San Francisco Shock.
Yeah.
He did, but I think for this particular point, the one that stood out was Nako on the Lucio. His boobs were just all over oh yeah, here we go. There you go. That's actually a double boop. So he boops the Lucio and the Mercy, and that allows him to take over the point, start getting control of the map, and you have the aggressive setup from the get-go.
I gotta say, both these teams, when they run the Lucio, they do look a lot better, right?
Yeah.
It's for sure. You can tell a lot of these teams are still uncomfortable with the way the meta has developed into like a Mercy meta, where you do have to have a Mercy and a Zenyatta, and Lucio only comes out in the control sections because you want to prioritize the speed boost, right? To get onto the point faster, to get into position faster for whatever reason.
Provide a taxi service.
Yeah, exactly. And it works a lot better in terms of Lucio, because obviously you're all condensed onto the point. But yeah, in general, I gotta say, super impressive San Francisco. Francisco. They've definitely turned stuff around, all sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying this because I got like a joke or something. No. But what we do have is really interesting, and this is what I always love to get to hear. It's the player comms. We have a few minutes there. Well, a few minutes. That might be a bit long, but we have a window here into the comms for one of the teams.
Anything else? Pressure. Nothing. Let's go! Good job, guys. Good job. Oh, boys. Good job, Mace. Good job.
For how tense that moment was, that was surprisingly calm. Everybody's just calling the same target, understanding what they have to do. So quite impressive, really.
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying at the start of this, where they're, San Francisco are a team that wear their hearts on their sleeves. They're very emotional. If one player is performing well, everyone else gets hyped up, rising to their level, and as a whole, they play a lot better. And you can feel the excitement from the comms there. Like everyone was playing online. The comms were, it seems quite cluttered, but in general, very focused. They knew exactly what to do, and I'm happy for them.
So both teams really stood out for us here in this matchup. It seemed like everybody had their say, but Omen by HP, they get to pick one player in particular, and you guys did the picking. So, who stood out for you?
Yeah, well, in our opinions, it was a very, very mixed up bag, to be honest, of what we were going to choose. But we went with Dante. This guy had a very good performance across the board, and this is a bit, there's a bit of a juxtaposition compared to his previous results, at least in his other matches. The guy has stepped it up quite massively on the Tracer, flexing to the Genji as well. His Dragon Blades have always been very consistent as well compared to maybe Baby Bay on his own team, so maybe that's why he plays that one role. But he's a wonderful player, and we got to give it to him. Look at these statistics in general. I mean, the guy was just absolutely destroying in this game.
Exactly. The selection of Dante is based a lot on how far he's come from where he first started on the first week. We really weren't seeing a player that could find his own plays, that was kind of struggling to be that presence of a Tracer that you want to have, that's just a pest, that's actually able to gun down the kills when necessary, and that's what he was on this match today. 5 games, being able to just do so much for the team that typically was just Baby Bay all over the place, but now Dante is stepping up to be a real threat on the team, and it's nice to see that they recognize, okay, we need to do a little bit more on the DPS department, and they did.
Yeah, all around, like, again, a great performance by San Francisco. I feel like to round it out, they have actually performed very well because we've been bigging up Boston so much as well. Like, Boston have improved massively over the course of the season. You can actually see the same. It's kind of like they've stole the limelight in terms of the team that's progressed the most. But no, in general, San Francisco, they've clearly researched Boston well. They've clearly looked at what they knew was going to be working against them, because Boston obviously focused on the sort of dive mainly rather than the tank comps, and it's worked out in their favor.
Well, that is it, boys. That is our last day here, our last match of the second week of the Overwatch League. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the results and wrap it all up. Obviously, it's going to be fresh in our minds, a very even match between the Boston Uprising and the San Francisco Shock. But let's not forget, I mean, Los Angeles Valiant nearly won versus London Spitfire this morning. That would have been a fantastic win there for the hometown heroes.
I mean, the story, if that would have happened, would have been amazing for what it would do to the league. However, 2-3, still close enough that it gives us that warm feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It's close enough. But right now, Seoul Dynasty are sitting at the top of the pack, followed by New York and London. Where it starts to get a bit dicey is, Houston Outlaws. They're sitting there tied it up, and San Francisco Shock now get to join that illustrious group. They get to sit, with 2 wins, 2 losses, so they are definitely still in the running. Next week, we're coming back on Wednesday, starting at 4 p.m. PST. It's going to be the San Francisco Shock going up against the London Spitfire. I hear a lot of fans that are happy about that one. Shanghai Dragons will be the next one versus the Seoul Dynasty. And then to close it out, it'll be the Los Angeles Gladiators versus the Los Angeles Valiant. That's a big one. Guys, it's the end of the line for us. You have any final thoughts before we move on?
Just fantastic games all around. Yeah, and well done to you.
No.
Puckett. You clearly changed. You grew a beard overnight.
I grew a beard overnight.
Wonderful
I put some, contacts in, brown eyes, found these. They're not actually real glasses. They just look like Semblers. But, Puckett will be back with us Wednesday next week. Don't worry. And so, take care, everybody. We will see you next time.
like a man possessed.